say it. I don't want to say it. I don't. Do you think I'll be
Say
torn?
it, say it,
Do you
say
think?
it, say
Do
it.
you think even if Simple came back, he could be as good as Donk? Like, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
mean, he never had a tournament like this. That's what I can say.
Right?
No, he did not. ZywOo didn't. You know.
Yeah.
No one fucking did.
Best esports odds. VIP program and a variety of bonuses. Fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam, and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans around the globe, welcome back to another episode of HLTV Confirmed. Tonight we're going to talk at this pace. If people cannot talk at this pace, we're going to shut down the episode. So it's going to be a quick one. I'm going to be done in 15 minutes flat. No, we're not. We're going to talk at a regular pace. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, people who like to watch Counter-Strike, people who like to watch people talk, apparently villains, as Prof has his hands looking like a villain right now. We want to quickly thank the sponsors for making the show possible. 22Bet, remember to gamble responsibly, and Tradeit.gg if you're in the marketplace for some skins, you know where to go. Or were you doing an Andrew Tate because I'm in Romania right now, Prof?
I was doing a striker because there's no striker and no evil cat enjoyer, you know, so I'm just kind of not doing a striker, but matching his energy. That's the
okay
thing.
I see that you're wearing a Cowboy Bebop t-shirt.
That is true.
Any comments? I
did watch 10 episodes 2 times and it was great, but I didn't get to the end. I will maybe on my 3rd attempt. Nothing bad about the show. I'm just ADHD.
You didn't watch the live adaptation?
No, I would not dabble in those. I don't dabble in those. Is there a single one that's good? I don't think so.
But when they're doing One Piece,
apparently,
I can't say if it's good or bad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything about that.
All right. Well, we don't really do anime on this show. We do Counter-Strike, and
that's the other show.
And cats, and we do cats. And Striker's not here. He is actually at a cat auction right now. They're seeing if they can expand. What's it called when you have a lot of cats? Is it a cattery? I don't know. That'd be a good name for it.
A litter is when they're small, right?
Yeah, but his house is going to be full of cats. Right? All we want to do is when we turn on the stream, see multiple. It's like 101 Dalmatians, but with cats and Striker. So it's a new comedy gig that we're working on. We'll see if we can turn it into a sitcom. It'll be great. But we have 2 individuals here. We've had on the show before to replace Striker. It's Numbers Man and Words Guy. We've got Nero and Notes with us here this evening to pick up the slack. Now, how are you over there in the award show? You were looking dapper. You had a tie on. You were dressed up. Did you feel like you're a member of the Men in Black?
Little bit. It's the classic leave uni, got no formal gear that fits me anymore. Find a tie somewhere. It was a straight tie. Didn't even have a point. It was the last one in the shop the day before. So yeah, it was a little bit funeral gear, but I was there. It was
I was
still,
saying you were
was
just
still
a
on the
nice
dress
lad. I
code.
wasn't having a dig at your outfit at all. I just saw you there.
Yeah. It was not a dig way, just kind of no one noticed. I was kind of waiting for someone to notice, and it was Martin who noticed, obviously, at like 2 a.m. And it's always Martin who notices.
It's always
your
Martin.
tie doesn't have a point. It's okay. Thanks, Martin. Thanks.
Well,
didn't notice.
Ask him to pay you more, and you can get with a point for next time around. Maybe we can organize that. All right. And,
that's always the one up whenever Martin, your boss, asks for something. Is like, pay me more and then X. Oh, that works.
Yeah. Look. No. What is going on? Is that ball thing? Is that your microphone?
It is. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Okay.
At some point, I'll get one that isn't like a round, large orb, but it's not today.
It's reminding me of like one of the microphones from back in like the 60s or something. There's like large and silver and round on the end of one of the mic stands. Obviously, the mic stand be coming out of the ground, but this one here is white and bulbous. Now, surely that's not the highlight of the evening for you here. Now, look, I want to get into tonight's show. I do want to set some parameters before we get underway. When we get to the donk section, there will only be 10 minutes of donk gushing. I will set an alarm. There will only be, I will not allow it to go over 10 minutes because I think that the internet will have a meltdown if we go for longer than that. But we do have a bunch of topics to get through tonight. Obviously, no striker. We just ended IEM Katowice. We have the RMRs starting tomorrow. And I suppose without further ado, Lucas, let's get into the recent news. All right, we're going to be starting a new segment on the show right now called Talking About Frivolous Things. Now, there's a question from Darkness CS2 in the chat. It says, also, Sponge, you're going to talk about Best of One MR12. I don't know how many times we talk about the same topics, Prof. Do you think that we should rehash the same topics every few weeks? Like we should say, all right, like once a month, we'll come back and we'll make the same points about the same topics.
All of the things that
did.
are still not great and should be better, but yeah, that's the name. But yeah.
Yeah. So do you think we should do that? You think we should come back and just reiterate our same opinions that wouldn't have changed since the last time we spoke about it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Because that would feel like we could literally just every week do the same talking points over and over again.
That would really save us thinking about what we need to talk about. We can just do the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of things that we talk about and then we don't talk about it for a while, and then we can be quite smug and be like, yeah, well, we said this, and then everyone starts talking about it again. It's the cycle of the news. Now, let's talk about the cycle of German Counter-Strike. Well, ladies and gentlemen, who would believe it?
You called it.
Thank God, right? Fuck me. They've got JDC and they've got Syrison, and they've gone full German again. And I don't know if this is good or bad, but this is obviously the ramifications of them not qualifying for the major, having some lackluster results at the start of the season. Mantu out, Sin out, and well, Syrison back in a big jersey. I didn't think we'd see the day. But Prof, I guess we can start with you. We'll start with not one of the regulars. We'll start with one of the boss men. What do you think of this change? Is this filling you with any hope?
I'm not really.
No.
I'm completely honest. It literally does nothing for me. Like, it's kind of nice. I think Peak Syrison is amazing. Like, Peak Syrison is better than Peak Mantu, so that's nice. I like that. All German is also nice. JDC is a solid player. But does it change a lot for me? Not really. I think it's still kind of the same team overall.
I guess when you look at this, though, they could only now make those changes. Well, not could only now. They may as well now make those changes because the season's already fucked, right? You've got the RMR in a couple of days. They're not going to be there, right? They haven't had the best start to the year. The ability to get Syrison and JDC was there. No, do you look at these as upgrades, downgrades, lateral moves?
I mean, I think just going back to a German-speaking lineup in general is an upgrade more so than the players, because I think the way that Big was looking at these games that they were playing, they looked so like uncoordinated in the mid rounds compared to how they used to be. They were really struggling to actually pick apart defenses like they used to. So you can see the disconnect. And I think that just having the ability to talk and speak in their same system and work within that is going to help. Either way, I don't think it's going to suddenly make them a top 5 team or something. I don't think it's enough to get there, but I prefer this to them being an international kind of like weird team that just speaks English for the sake of it.
Yeah, I suppose that we've always been looking at this team when you had the Zantara situation. There's been a bunch of different names. We had Smooya there for a little while, and they've always seemingly gone by Berlin International Gaming, and they're not been speaking the native tongue, which is problematic as we know. But I don't know what to think anymore. Like I'm almost done with the big topic, right? We the Tabson situations. What's the point? Why do we even talk about it anymore?
There's some good interactions in chat. Someone wrote, "Hi, my name is Tabson and I hate winning," and then someone replied, "Hi Tabson, my name's Keserato and I also hate winning." It's good vibes. I like that.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, we look at this roster, Harry. Is there any other Germans out there that you'd like to see get an opportunity in this team, or you don't really give a fuck?
I think it's everyone's quite proud about predicting it, and it's like it's the only 2 German players that I think could have a chance. But I don't know. I think it's it's always hard to talk about big because the goal shouldn't necessarily be to be a top 5 team. Like the goal is like be a team that the country can be proud of and all that kind of bollocks that is kind of not really the same as the other teams. Like we always talk about how boring it is with all the international teams. Like I think we should be nice to big because they're at least
Be
trying.
nice
like
to
they're
big.
keeping the branding. If they have like one Cologne run every 2 years, like they're doing their job as an org. They're not spending loads of money. Like this is fine. And you know, as long as it's not too much of a prison for Crimbo, because I think that's my concern is that this team might be good enough that it does become a prison because he'll like, oh no, it's quite a good team. It's quite a good team. If they were like utterly terrible, he would leave, I think, hopefully. But yeah, I think it's good changes and it's nice to have like a bit of tactical variety, a few national speaking teams still. And I think, yeah, like Note was saying, I just don't think there's any point going international if this is kind of your whole ethos as a brand.
Do you think we should judge all international teams by that metric? Sorry, all national teams by that metric?
Just be nicer to them, or
Well, yeah. Like, do we just not expect them to be the best?
well, not top 5 teams, but I think when it's Germany, like the talent pool is just weaker than like this isn't Denmark, is it? It's just
Well, hold up a second. What's the population of Denmark? Population Denmark
It's like 10 times
hours
smaller.
played,
But
population
what
of
about,
Denmark
14.
is
You know,
just
but what
under 6
about,
million.
but what
Germany
about
is
the
80 plus.
actual good CS players? It's not like 1-to-1. It's not
I know it doesn't work like that.
a
but that-
linear ratio to population, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, but this is the thing. It's like, do we just saying international teams are the best now? I guess they are. Well, Spirit, they're the 3rd best team in the world as per the rankings of yesterday, and they're primarily Russian.
I think it's more about like you kind of see the middling international teams. Like, would you rather have a big there, or would you rather have like another OG? It's kind of that
I'd rather have big.
conversation.
Yeah.
So that's all I mean with big. I think even though they've been kind of bad recently on LAN, at least,
They
like I
showed
still rather
promise,
have them
though.
there.
They just
you know?
choked. I thought, like, you
Yeah.
know, I thought that they just had some games where they choked a little bit, and they could have, and they tilted a lot. And I hope they still tilt because that's my favorite thing to talk about watching them play is looking at tabs and have a fucking meltdown and argue with his teammates in the
And
middle of a
Gob.
match.
God fucking mauling his face off.
Oh dear. No, but I get the sentiment. It's kind of I look at a few teams in that similar vein, and we speak about this before. We've mentioned this on the show once or twice. Is not everybody could be the best team in the world. You've got to be content with a certain position that you have. If this makes them function even 15, 20% better than they just were with the previous roster, then that's a good thing. All right. Let's jump forward. It's another slow news week, which is good because that means the Counter-Strike is actually on. Right? We get to talk about matches and all that good stuff. ESL Melbourne is back. It clashes with EPL. Now, I saw some tweets this morning, but I didn't really investigate because I was fucking tired from my 12-hour travel day yesterday. I didn't
You're
spend too
very
much time.
EP. You're very EP.
EP?
EP.
What's EP?
You're just EP. You're just like a little EP boy.
Yeah, I clicked around a bit, and also my Twitter feed has been fucked, like real fucked. I can't look at my notifications. I put a tweet out of it yesterday. I'll see if I can show the camera. It is fucking god tier fucked because I'm getting spammed by there's probably hundreds of accounts. Like it's actually fucking cooked. I can't look at anything on the notifications. Here it is. This is the thing I put up yesterday. Look at this. This is just, This is scrolling through notifications. This is between the airport yesterday, going from place. Oh, it's not in the middle of the screen. There we go. And it's just some link that I'm not going to click on, asking me not to be involved in video games becoming propaganda or some shit. And that just keeps going. And like every couple of minutes, there's just a bunch of like new accounts that come and just keep spamming it. So that's my Twitter life at the moment, which is really fucking cool. So I didn't spend too much time reading about what was going on. So, Prof, what's going on with this Melbourne situation?
Well, essentially, it's just overlapping, or the qualifiers are overlapping with EPL. So Greyhound and whatever the other team is,
Vertex, Bad News Kangaroos,
whatever they're called now. Yes, exactly. They can't play, so that's kind of unfortunate, I guess, for them.
So this is news.
Yeah, this.
When
is
do we
news.
talk about Australian Counter-Strike?
There we go. That's Australian Counter-Strike for you. There's no Sydney this year, and so I guess
That's the thing. People keep talking. They're like, "Oh, the fall event. They haven't said where it's going to be." And I'm like, "Guys, it's not going to be there. It's like they're not going back to Australia anytime soon, as far as I'm aware. We're not going back anytime soon." other than the Challenger event. But I was actually like, so I saw that they were just disappointed that it's the only event in Australia for the year and they're unable to attend, which does make a lot of sense. Also, like the main draw of not having Greyhound there, if you're an Australian audience and you want to go see the best Australian team, that's kind of shitty.
It is. Yeah, it is kind of.
Can't they just change the qualification dates?
I feel like that should be the natural course because there's only that one group of EPL that overlaps with the qualifier too, which the Australian teams are in. So
So
you
just
would think
fucking
they would be
move
able to
it.
just change it.
Yeah, right.
Just invite Greyhound. Don't do a qualifier. Easy.
Well, why would they have to? I guess because the whole. But we just saw Rooster get invited to fucking Katowice because of the point system at the start of the year, anyway, right? So it's all a bit funky with the rankings and how teams are invited down there. But it would just make sense just to invite them. How about we wait and see how the RMRs go first? Maybe they don't make it. Maybe they don't qualify, and then we can have that conversation again. But I've never been to an ESL Challenger in Melbourne, so I don't know what it's about, but I think people have a good time. I've seen some images and stuff before. It seems like a decent little shindig. I don't know if we need to spend too much time talking about that. Anyone have anything they want to add to this?
No, I
Will
think
Spirit turn up.
You have
They're not
Spirit
Pro
turn
League,
up.
right?
Why would they? Now you got all the
I mean, they
invites.
shouldn't. They
You don't
shouldn't.
need to
If
go
they're
to
not a
that
Pro League.
shit now. You
but
got
they're
all the
not an
invites.
EPL. They're not
I
an
don't think
EPL.
so, right?
What are you?
Yeah.
How bored are they? You think, oh, let's travel fucking 24 hours to the other side of the globe to go beat some shitters? What are we talking about?
But it is 5 weeks of like no good teams being available anyway.
3 weeks this year. 3 weeks this year.
3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah,
Not
we're-
that bad.
Thanks.
It's shorter now, significantly. It's now 6 days a week, 3 best of 3s on each stream for fucking 6. It's going to be nonstop. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen exactly with the Pro
I
League
didn't
system.
put it on the list, but did you see the NIP video that came out?
You did put it on the list, didn't you?
Did I?
NIP talk
I
about
thought you
roster
put it on the
shuffle.
list. Yeah.
There we go. Yes, I did.
Well, we can talk about that. You now that you're a Swedish shill, well, they've been
Yeah.
putting some propaganda in your mailbox, Prof. What's going on?
Honestly, not even in the mailbox, literally into my ear. I was
shit.
approached in the Katowice VIP lounge directly, not by Jonas Gunderson because he is no longer a part of the organization, but other NIP upper management, let's just say.
See some tweets. I saw some tweets regarding it. Like, so where someone was like, he's been removed, and then some player tweeted like 4 years too late or some shit. I forget which player it was. I think it was Hampus, maybe.
I didn't see that. I did not see that. But yeah, I think NIP are trying to communicate that obviously they didn't change much in terms of the roster themselves, the players. They changed one player, whatever. But they're trying to like change their approach and the management changed. So like they're gonna do things differently. That's kind of what they're trying to say. But obviously people don't believe them based on the comments, which is fair. Like no one needs to believe anyone's word until they see stuff happening. But I think the video was kind of nice, just like kind of getting insight into how teams think, how these roster changes happen, like the communication between like Alex and NIP and Movistar and the agents and getting involved and how things change. They didn't like obviously explain everything in detail, but you see how like kind of fast paced everything is, which I think is nice. And what they're trying to say is like, obviously this roster and what we have been saying on the podcast, like this roster is not the end goal for NIP. It's just like, we're going to take our time and, wait for better opportunities than when Falcons is buying players and Vitality is buying players and FaZe is buying players, then maybe NIP shouldn't be a part of this roster shuffle because we can't compete with any of these people, right? So let's just like figure out our shit and then buy when it's better.
Yeah. Well, they're in a pretty deep hole, right? I was looking at the Reddit thread, which was a mistake earlier today, and it's just like negative comments. It's like, well, if they communicate, people are going to shit on them. If they don't communicate, people are going to shit on them. That's probably why Valve don't say anything, right? You see, no matter what you do, you're kind of fucked. So, I've made my feelings pretty clear about NIP and the roster in recent, actually not even just recent times, pretty much regularly for the last couple of years. If they are able to pull it out of the hole, what aren't they projecting? 2025 is when they think they'll be competitive again, or aiming to be.
Yeah.
What they're saying is like 2025 is when there's no longer any slots, for anyone reserved. So you need to actually be good, and that's why their goal is 2025. We need to be on the top, whatever the headline is. I think people interpret that as like being top 5, which isn't really
top 20 is probably fine.
But top 15ish, so you can get the invites into tournaments and shit like that, and not be where they are right now, which is nowhere essentially.
It is pretty funny though that in less than a year now, all these teams that have just been floating along thanks to their partnership agreements, literally on namesake, and a bunch of players too, are all just going to be fucking exposed. Like it is actually going to. I wonder how much. This is a broader conversation and one that I don't think we can get answers to, but one that I'd love to hear just opinions off the top of people's heads. How much Counter-Strike has probably been held back in the last couple of years because of partner leagues? Do you think it has been at all in terms of the competitive nature? Or do you think I'm just talking out of my ass here?
I
Maybe
feel like it has been in the last probably 2 years. Maybe when it was initially founded, there was a little bit more competition just because you had a lot of the teams who were actually competitive, but then you had a lot of the rosters who got in early kind of degrade. I don't think NIP is anywhere near as good as they used to be. You had obviously EG who completely fumbled, and then over time you just had these teams kind of disintegrate, and then they were never. I feel like there should have been an incentive structure to actually have these teams be competitive, and there kind of was, but it wasn't I guess forceful enough to actually make these teams have to make the changes that they needed to fight.
I think when you get like the rules of like getting eliminated were also up for conversation, right? Like, so if all the owners who were partner teams thought like, oh, this team's performing badly and we should get rid of them, well, they could all go, no, this team's performing badly. They fucking suck. It means we won't be last. Let's not get rid of them, right? Like, what's the real incentive there? They just keep some shitters across. We got Pumpkini saying Valve banning partnerships is literally 1984. Anyone who supports it is a commie. I don't even know how that makes any sense at all. What are we talking about? Where does that come from? I would love to elaborate. Maybe we should do like a phone-in episode, Prof, where we just get unhinged fucking Twitch chatters to call in.
I feel like Harry can explain that. Harry, you're very knowledgeable about
and
numbers.
Communism.
And this is 1984. Yeah. So those are numbers.
It's a year.
Well, the whole thing is Valve are the least 1984 out of all the game devs. So I think give them a little bit of a break. Like that, it could be worse, guys. It could be worse.
Oh my god, fucking hell. No, it's curious. Well, I guess to kind of just put a close in the NIP situation. What if you're one of the current players watching the content that they're putting out, being like, yeah, we know we're shit. Like, how much?
I think there is a difference, though. I think.
Okay.
I think because the previous management, like, whatever you say, like that team, like how they've ended up with 3 players who want to play the exact same positions and no one's thought of that. Like at least now, like I know, like the firepower is just not there, but it's the kind of thing where they're giving Config and Res a chance to be star riflers again and not have to play some terrible roles. And it's like if they're not good, they'll get rid of them. But at least they're like have a team structure now. They're not just like shuffling anchor roles around. Like it's probably still not going to make a difference, but at least it's like on the right track. And if they do make roster changes, there's like room for star players to actually be there and succeed now. Because before it was just somewhere where like stars just went to die, and that should change.
It was especially because of like the legacy name behind the org, but it kind of puts Alex's move a little bit more into question, doesn't it? Like he left that roster for this. It's like, is that better than Movistar? Like really? Like really? Even at the time, was it better? Is it just more money? I guess, right? That's all.
Must be more money. Must be more money and promise of hopefully
exactly.
a bigger future. And they do have slots at least for this year, so he's going to be around. But it must be kind of looking forward more than today.
Well, I guess he was part of them before they got bought out, right? You'd assume now that it's Koi, there would be some more. I don't know if it would just work. It probably doesn't work like that. You immediately get more. I'd imagine the contracts get absorbed or whatever. But
I didn't watch the video, but I did see people commenting that apparently they said something along the lines of like Donk was not on their radar at all until this event or something. And I was like, dude.
It was. I mean, this was probably recorded a bit before. It was after. The reference was to the Bet Boom event where Donk was the MVP, and they were saying like in CS2 we'll have some new stars, and they said like, okay, this 16-year-old kid just like destroyed everyone at an event and pick up the MVP, and he wasn't on anyone's radar before this. I feel like I hope that's a bit of a hyperbole because like what the fuck, he was like, one for the future of HLTV. If he's not on people's radar at that point, then no one's doing their job properly. But to some degree it makes sense as an example. I think it's kind of an over exaggerated statement.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's move on from this if everyone's okay. Well, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Is everyone good? Everyone happy to move? Yeah. All right. Nice. All right. Let's jump into talking about Katowice. Obviously, the event wound up on Sunday night with Spirit lifting the title in a best of 5 final over FaZe in a 3-0 fashion. And as I said, we're going to set a timer here for donk discussion. So, who wants to go first? Does anybody? Now, actually, I probably should say before I do this, I'm not coming out here to try and underplay donk at all. It's just I don't know how much we can talk about donk before we all lose our minds, right? It's quite clear that this kid is like nobody else, especially with the performance that he just had at Katowice in terms of debutants at their tier 1, like first big events. There's never been anything quite like it. And he just continues to just put up these massive numbers as a rifler. So you've also got that to keep in mind here. We're not dealing with just another fucking AWP abuser. We're dealing with somebody who has done something quite astonishing. And the conversation in my mind is already starting to shift to, well, how the fuck can he keep this up? This is just an insane level, as opposed to gushing over donk from an amazing event. Anyway, now that I said that, I'm going to start a 10-minute timer and we'll talk about donk for 10 minutes. Who wants to go first?
Yeah. I mean, I think the main thing with donk is trying to work out what his actual level is going to be, because he's got better the harder things have got. Like his like CSGO average was like 128 or something. It's like, okay, that's like simple Zio, fine. We'll have another simple Zio, fine. And then it's
we
like
did another one of
versus
those.
top 5 teams, it's like 1.5. And then it's Katowice 1.7 breaks the record. Like I think I checked the decimals, he broke the record. Yeah, we all said equaled at the time. He's like 0.002 better than Nico and over way more maps. So it's like in 6 months, what is his average going to be? Because you always talk about like players regressing to like their average, but like his average could be better than anything we've seen.
That's the thing though, right? So those projections are already starting. That's where we're going, oh shit, like how good can he really be? Because obviously within this one tournament, it's been fucking nuts. And we know it's been, I don't want to say trending upwards, but the anticipation to see him on LAN, and then he performs at the BetBoom event, and it's the best of 5 reverse sweep against VP, and it's like, well, that's a fucking legit result. And then you go into a tier 1 event, and the whole conversation on the broadcast was about the goalposts keep moving, right? Like in terms of, well, can he do it here? Can he do it here? Now he's on the stage. And he just kept accomplishing all of those things time and time again. And obviously it's a team game and we know all of that, and it wouldn't be possible, and he's part of a system and blah, 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 blah. It's just the fact that the first round for him on the stage, even though it was a 1v2, but he still had to trade in a 1v1 on Anubis on the pistol round. And then he wins another clutch a couple rounds later, and he's getting multiple kills like in all of these rounds, and it just keeps. And then in the grand final, the first map of the grand final against FaZe, what did he get? 32 kills in the first map. And he was fucking pedestrian. He had like 18 kills, and the next closest on his team at one point had 6. It's like, what are we fucking talking about? I didn't want to go into the grand final to commentate, and all I said was donk, but that's all I could fucking do. What the fuck just happened, man? Like, really? What did we witness? It's fucking insane.
I think the other thing is that, like, yes, he's a very aggressive player, but it's not like the players where they're hyper aggressive and just only have that mode. He's not, like, the way I was going to phrase it is kind of, he's not a Boris where he kind of just holds W and will just constantly go for those fights. He actually has his own intuition into like where he has to aggress and whatnot, and he can rein himself in, which I think like that's part of the reason why I think he's so consistent here, and he will continue to be consistent along with the structure that Spirit had and from Chopper that they had. Like, you can see it when he's playing the game that he's not just like a flash in the pan player, which is kind of the impressive part too, because all the players were saying that, oh, he plays so simply, but that's kind of like, that's also a bonus point in the sense of sometimes you want a player who can just do that simple thing and do it consistently, and then the rest of the team can work around it. And that seems like how Chopper's kind of structured it as well.
It's nice to have someone bail you out with multi-kills though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't necessarily think he's going to do like 1.7 ratings or something at every event like that, but I do think that that kind of level is what he can consistently peak at, if that makes sense.
So did any of you see James' demo review of him, like before Kato?
No Machine was talking about it.
Because he was literally reviewing him, and it was just like, just watch. Like, he didn't even watch his POV because he was like going third person and just showing like the way donk, because he never holds angles basically. And this was CS2, like CS2 online demo, so maybe it's a bit different online, but literally never holds angles. Is always like the way he like engineers gunfights is something that like like it's such a CS2 specific thing as well. Like I know there's conversation about the nerfing thing. I don't even think it's relevant to that. It's not like the Pika's advantage thing. It's just like the way it's so much more about the first bullet than CSGO ever was, and the way he engineers gunfights to be able to hit that first bullet is something crazy. And it's the kind of thing that like you see all the other rifles just not quite adapted to yet. Like, and he's not even like he's a tapper. Like he'll just do spray transfers as well. Like there's not a part of his game that is lacking. Like I think if we had the economy and the stats, because he's a little bit shameless. But then when he's running up mid and getting multi-kills against gun rounds, like the round after, it's kind of like he just does it every round. It's like he's going to get a 2K every round. And he's so aggressive that against Nico, he will get 4 kills every time. But it's not like he's changing the way he plays. He's
that's exactly what I said on the cast. I was like, well, you see him going in and killing everybody, but he also does that on the gun round. So it doesn't really matter what he's playing against. He'll just shoot everybody. And I think that, you know, what you guys have just highlighted here is he's not like he's not doing something special. He obviously is doing something very special, but it's strange that it's not like screen one tap. It's not like just good positional play. It's everything seems to be on point, and it just is wild to think about someone who just turned 17 as well. And I saw some comments like, who cares that a 17-year-old so good? It's like, no, but another big thing we talk about in Counter-Strike is experience. Right? Like you can be young and sharp, right? We call you a plank of wood. You don't have a lot going on upstairs, but your mechanics and the way you point the crosshair is in the right direction, and you click quicker. But the level of Counter-Strike that he seems to understand and playing at right now, it's fucking insane. Like it doesn't make any sense. And then it leads us to the questions which you were talking about before, Harry, of like what's his true power level? Like what is this potential? What can we see on a consistent basis? And then other people starting to ask the question already of like, well, who or what can stop Donk? Is it a play style? Is it a type of player? You know, I saw some people being like, well, you know, what about a good AWPer? I was like, well, okay, I guess that's a conversation to be had when you look at maybe the run that they were on and the type of teams and stuff they're going up against. But I don't know.
Like our Sunpias and Brokey not good AWPers. Like what is a good AWPer?
True.
I mean, maybe they're not playing the best right now.
No one seems to be playing fantastic.
Brokey had really good stats in the playoffs. No, he wasn't bad by any means. I don't know how Sunpias was overall. Like in theory, he's a great AWPer. I don't think he's like hitting his peak in Falcons now. But like who is? Like if these guys are not good, then I don't know. We need to wait for like it just feels like the moving of the goalpost that has been happening for Donk for the last like 2 months consistently. There's always a new thing.
But why do you think that is, right? What do you think that is?
Because it feels unbelievable. Yes. Because it's like everyone wants to be right and be like, nah, this can't be real, you know? And it in all honesty, like if you are a betting man, if you want to look at what is probable based on everything we've seen so far, you should be like, yeah, he did this, but the next thing he's not gonna do. But he's just fucking laughing at everyone because it's not only does he do it, he does it even better. So we're just stuck there looking at this and being like, well, okay, cool.
It's unexplainable though, right?
Yeah.
Like who are we to even talk about this? Like what could we say about our one true God now? Like what?
And the worst thing is like it's not like you see that many like crazy highlight moments. Like there are some here and there, but I don't remember that many like fucking 4 kills and like I don't know, because he realistically just gets like 2 kills entering the bomb site and the round is done. Like no one's peeking him anymore, or maybe he kills another guy through a smoke and that's it. There's just no round. There's no like 1v4 for Donk. He's never in a 1v4.
I mean, that's what the entire Anubis felt like when they were playing, was that he would go into sites and entry 2 people and the round would be over. Like they would save in a 3v5 or like they would try and retake and then you'd have Magix just clutch or chopper flank 2 people. So it's every single round was like that. So you're right in that like there aren't highlights, but at the same time, those 2 entries mean more than like a 3K.
Yeah.
Half the time. So
yeah, that's why his impact was off the charts as well, right? Like it's just it's nonsense. I don't know what or where we even go with this conversation other than us just continuing to gush over how fucking extraordinary it is.
I'm curious to see.
Too.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see if when, which is inevitable, like they lose a game or 2 how is that gonna affect him? Because I think when you peak everything and you kill everything and you peak everything on an eco and kill like he's not even losing them around by doing silly stuff, right? Rarely, sometimes, obviously, no one's perfect. But I want to see if there's gonna be any sort of like dip in form, confidence at some point, and how he's gonna be dealing with that. And also just based on this super high peak that they had now, yeah, they won a lot online and smaller tournaments, but winning in Katowice is a completely different thing, like in terms of what it does to a person, like in terms of the emotional
crying.
Yeah. So I'm curious how that's going to affect the rest of the team and therefore him. And will there be any like drawbacks from that? But no reason to really think that he can't continue doing what he's doing.
Harry, you mentioned personality. Where did you want to go with that?
I just remember because I was at Dacha and like in the little arena thing, and I just remember like he just kind of walked on, and you're like, okay, is he actually going to be that scary? And then they're playing VP, and he's just yelling like, "Stop saving, Jame!" Like I can hear the word saving. Obviously, the rest of it's in Russian. I'm hearing saving and Jame, and he's just shouting that all half, and it's like he wasn't even having that good a game. It was when people were like, "Oh, James the Kryptonite," but he was just screaming at Jame, and you're just like, if he's this good mechanically and he's got like this level of confidence, like there's just sky's the limit completely.
No, we can keep talking about him. The whole time it was a gimmick, everybody, by the way. We can do whatever the fuck we want. No, but
one thing I was gonna say was that you talked about like how it's gonna affect him if they lose games and whatnot. But if you looked at like the interviews he did or his demeanor on camera during the matches, etc., it honestly seems like he just went there to play and didn't really care about like actually winning, if that makes sense. Like you have players who aspire their whole lives to win an event like Katowice, and they're like in tears, and he kind of just was like, yeah, cool, like I won this trophy, I just want to go on to the next. And it was just the way he presents was kind of just like it was par for the course, if that, and he just wants to keep doing this. And it didn't seem like the actual impact of winning this trophy was like it didn't seem like it actually was understood, almost, if the degree to how big it was understood by him.
Well, I think that makes sense though when you consider well, it doesn't make sense, but I think that it's understandable when you look at what kind of his path has been. It's been, okay, well, be in the academy roster, then be in the main team, and then just be winning, right? When you think about little kids when they are skiing and you see them just fucking rocketing down the mountain, these like 4 or 5 year olds on skis, and they got absolutely no fucking fear about anything because their bones are rubber, and they don't know how much it hurts yet to fall over and actually really truly hurt themselves, right? Whereas us as adults, we're on a ski or a snowboard or whatever, I'm fucking worried about falling over and breaking my wrist or something, or my collarbone. I have that fear in me. I think the same thing starts to happen to players after time once you accrue bad results. You know, once you do make that push in an important round and you die and you cost your team a couple of rounds, or you're on the stage and you have that loss in front of so many people and it's a fucking gut punch, or you don't make it to that event that you wanted to get to, like through an RMR or something like that. And then that baggage of that negative is carried with you, and that's fear, right? Because then you're now scared of that happening to you again. And right now he doesn't have any of that. He is quite truly just a kid. I love I don't know if it was on Reddit or whatever, but it was like dad taking his kids to Disneyland or something, because you got Chopper at the front who does look like, you know, the dad of the group, and these 4 other like small Russian kids that he's fucking got with him, and he's taking them all to Disneyland. Everyone's just got a smile on their face. They have no idea that to get into Disneyland, it costs $150 a ticket, and the fact that if you want food, it's $30 for a fucking ice cream and $20 for popcorn, and they don't understand the value of money, right? But they're just out there enjoying themselves because Mickey Mouse is there, and we get to go on the roller coaster, right? And they're just like literally doing the thing they enjoy, which I think is a really nice place to find themselves in. I know we're talking about Donk right now, but with Zontix, you know, saying I don't give a fuck like about it, and I actually look at the guy and I believe him. I'm like, he just seems like he's like, yeah, I just don't give a fuck, like whatever, man. And that is really quite unique to have, because when you sit back and you put what we're doing in perspective, you're playing Counter-Strike for hundreds of thousands of dollars in front of an arena full of people who have paid money to come and time, right? Time is a big one, to come and watch you do your thing. And you just it doesn't affect you or phase you at all. And I don't know, again, if that's just from a lack of experiencing that, so it isn't anything which, or the fact that it's just been so normalized now, because that was what the 10th year of Katowice. Like we've been for them, what are they, 18, 19, you know, how old's Zontix? He's 18 or 19 or something, isn't he?
I think it's, yeah.
So for him, since he was 8 years of age, turning on the telly, watching Counter-Strike in Katowice, there's been a crowd enjoying Counter-Strike. So I don't know if any of that factors into it, or if these are just fucking cold-blooded motherfuckers, or if they just enjoy the moment so much. And the Zoomers are actually the better of all of us. You know, maybe that's true. Maybe the TikTok generation, they're just the best generation, and I've been wrong this whole time. But yeah, it's just unique to see Spirit end up winning the whole thing. It's interesting. Hold up a second. I'm getting some Steam messages. Let me turn this off. Well, I'm getting all spammed right now. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of this situation right now, because it was astonishing, but it was enjoyable, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. And I'm excited to see if there is anybody else out there that could be, lying in the shot. Like there's or if Simple comes back. I don't know if I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. I don't. Do you think I'll be torn? Do you think even if Simple came back, he could be as good as Donk? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he never had a tournament like this. That's what I can say.
Right.
No, he did not. ZywOo didn't,
Yeah.
No one fucking did. Nico's tournament rating it's not the same. Not the same caliber of tournament at all.
That was such a dominant result from FaZe as well in New York. That was 2017,
well,
right?
The other thing with New York is that they played 7 maps, but also I think the top 5 teams or something all skipped that event because it was too far away. So that was like that was also an asterisk over that New York year.
Yeah, the competition was nowhere near to what Katowice had, so it's insane.
Yeah, and I know I had the conversation in the last episode that we did where I was saying that I think that the scene is relatively weak, but I also think that you could apply that same stuff to Spirit, who added Shiro 2 months ago. So like they were starting from a similar position as a lot of these other names in terms of they just had Donk, right? So they obviously had what is, I guess, undoubtedly the best player in the world right now. I don't even think they can be debated, can it? Like as of right now, he's the best player in the world.
Donk is the best player in the world.
Yeah, is that even a debate?
Yeah,
best sample size would be the only thing, but
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to. I mean, we always forget about ZywOo. There's going to be like an Apex interview next event where he's fuming about everyone talking about Donk again. It's like,
yeah, well, maybe don't get fucking knocked out in the group stage then, mate. This is the thing right now. So in the rankings, Vitality aren't number 1 anymore, right? It's FaZe who's jumped to the number 1 spot with your rankings. And maybe that's a good thing for Vitality, because they've had a fucking rough start to the year. And the conversation we're going to get into shortly is going to be about, well, where the year is, well, the next 6 months is make or break for everybody else. Do we want to talk? Hold up a second. Let me bring up what Prof's done for me. I guess, yeah.
General Spirit talk. Just to mention Shiro, I guess, makes sense. You spoke about Zontix a bit. I think, great player. Really, just one of the, someone wrote in chat again, just amazing chat. Zontix is who Perfecto fans think Perfecto is, and I feel like kind of actually kind of works, at least right now. Perfecto is not what he was in Navi, right? Zontix is just fucking amazing, and just doesn't make mistakes. That kind of player is super reliable for such a young age. But Shiro's move was weird, going out of Cloud9, and like obviously not ideal situation Cloud9 when he left, but like Boomich was coming in and you would think like, okay, this is gonna work. But he made the jump, joined this young prodigy who was completely unproven at the time, and this thing is amazing. He's been super great at this event, obviously super overshadowed by Donk, but I think the win coming through, that's exactly where you see the difference between like Donk, who won everything he played ever, and the guy that was close a lot of times and like just miserably failed in some occasions, right? And his teams failed, and just felt the worthlessness of defeat, right, on the big stage. So the reaction was completely different. So I just shout out to him, and nice to see him winning.
That's the other thing with Spirit, right, is that even if Donk drops off a little bit, let's say, I don't know, records a pedestrian 1.5 rating, you still have Shiro who can put in those numbers. You also, I think Zontix was really good here, but this is actually like lower than the level I feel like I've seen from him in other events. So I think he still has a lot of room to like to put up his own performances, but obviously when Donk's doing everything, you don't really do have to do a ton. So as far as Spirit's concerned, I think that this win actually, it inspires confidence for the rest of the team, but then even if Donk falls off, you have the other players who actually can step up past the level that they showed here. And that's why I think like all these people are saying like, oh, if Donk stops playing this well, Spirit might not do well. I think it's kind of a little bit, I guess, just wrong, straight up wrong, to be honest. Because you also had Chiro, I think, still recorded like a 1.3 rating or something at the event. So you have him who, as you said, if an Opera comes in and starts shutting down Donk, you still have Chiro on the other side of the server. Then you have Magix and Zontix who can do the rest of the work. So I think for the team as a whole, it's not like Donk was just the only reason they won.
I think the setup, right?
Well, yeah, like obviously the broader team, but Harry, if you're going to put the win in context, broader context than just it was a fantastic performance at this S tier event and the first for Donk. If you were going to put it in broader context, where do you kind of look at Spirit? How do you categorize them in World Counter-Strike right now? Are they your new favorites?
Yeah, I think it's the thing of everyone like sort of expected Vitality would be the ones to kind of break the parity era because they just have Zywa, don't they? Because Zywa and such a good team around him, like Mezzi, the Mezzi for Mages pickup, like they've kind of got away with it so far. I think losing a player like Mages, I think it's coming back to bite them a little bit now, and that's kind of why I want to talk about Spirit still, is that I think Zontix is probably still even underrated because I think it was Snappy talked about this on a podcast recently as well. It's like it's easy to set up a Star Opera and it's easy to set up a Star Rifler. And the third star has to kind of do everything on their own. And Zontix, like Noah even said, he did worse this tournament than other tournaments. Like he had a bad map in the final, I think. But he still ended it on a 116 rating. And it's like you could remember his multi-kills and how high impact they are. Like I don't think he's like Perfecto. I think he's like Astralis Magisk. Because he's playing these anchor roles, which is letting Chopper play the information roles. And then he's getting all of these kills as well. And it's like that's the kind of impact you're getting from your third star that's not actually getting a lot of support at all. So yeah, I think if Donk does fall off, that's why I think Spirit's firepower is actually as deep as anyone's. Like it's not just the Donk thing. And I think that's probably why I think it's unlikely to see them drop off massively. I think this is a team that's very much here to stay as well. I know the Chopper and Halley system as well. Like you could see that what's helping Donk. Like he probably only have a 1.6 rating, but you can see that the way they like 4-man entry, like Donk is not the one that's getting AWPs on like a dry swing. If they know it's an AWP, someone else swings. They always flashing. Like there's so much little things going into this Spirit thing, and I think if Donk distracts from everyone else, then people are just going to keep underestimating them because there's so much more to it.
So I think it's a positive that he's the main headline for the whole team.
Yeah, I think so. If people aren't studying Zontix, then they might be in trouble, I think.
Okay.
I'm glad that but one thing that I'm glad that you mentioned was about Halley and Chopper, because I think that duo is actually a little bit underrated because everyone's talking about the rest of the team. Whereas if you look at all the interviews that they did on broadcast, you look at all the interviews they've done here, basically every player is crediting Halley and Spirit's like staff around them for bringing the system into play. And even in the grand final, for example, on Mirage, when they were losing in the first half, Halley used all of his timeouts in just the first half. And like, to me, I feel like I often see coaches who will be like, no, I'm going to save one more for the second half in case I need it. But Halley knew then that he needed to burn through all three for some reason. And I think like those kind of things where he has a beat on the team makes me feel like they have that structure that they need to actually keep this performance going and keep that general level up. Also, when they played Falcons, I think they were 5-0 up or 6-0 up, and then they had an instant read on the round that Snappy was going to throw into canals or something to do aggression, and you had Zontix playing like passive up near A, like near carpets, and when you have that kind of preparation against a team who hasn't played a ton as well, you can see that they actually have that structure, and I think that going forward is also going to help them way more than people are thinking.
I think so. For me, I kind of left with a bunch of questions overall, like for Donk and for Spirit, right? Because obviously now the bar's been set extremely high. with this event and this victory, and also with where Counter-Strike and all the other teams are at the moment. Essentially, for me, the way I'm looking at this next period of time, the next couple of months, is everyone's going to try and arm up as quickly as they can to try and win the major, right? That's the goal. That's everybody's goal right now, is to win this next major and to put the stamp on CS2 in the early stages. We had the team to win the first CS2 major in this new era of the game, right? So at the moment, when I look at the questions I asked just before about Donk, what is his true power level going to be, right? So how consistent are these peaks? Because maybe he goes even higher, right? But let's assume that this is the peak, right? And we'll get to see if he can deliver that on a consistent basis or not, or if it's going to dip down a little bit. That's something we need to gauge now in the future. Who or what, right? In terms of play style or type of player, will there be somebody on the other side of the server that kind of has his number and understands how to be able to slow him down? Because what you were talking about before, no, I think is quite key. Is he's not being put in a situation in a 1-on-4 where he needs to do something completely out of the box and break everybody's mind. He's doing the boring thing, which is going into a bomb site and getting both kills, which is the most impactful, awesome thing that I feel you could be doing as a player regularly, right? He's getting 2 kills when they need it to win rounds very regularly. So who's going to be able to stop him from doing that? And then the team overall, how do they respond if Donk's not having a great game? Who do we turn to, right? Are Shiro and Zontix and these other names going to be able to make up? And is the system going to be there good enough if he's not just having a ball terror of a game? How do they respond to losses? Because even on that second map, Donk started to show some frustrations, right? Like on the camera, and it was just early stages. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? But then I have to remind myself, he's only a 17-year-old. So you talk about like the personality, Harry, you mentioned earlier that he went into this BetBoom event and he's fucking yelling across and stuff. And he clearly is an instinct type of guy, right? But like he's letting his emotion that's there just do the talking, right? Like, so I'm interested to see the team overall, how they will respond to losses and how much it will hurt them, or if it does. And then we have, this is hard to say.
Oh, so one said his game crashed in the first round of Mirage, apparently.
Oh, that's why he was frustrated.
Because he froze. You could tell because he wasn't, like, it's the only time I've ever seen him stay still.
He wasn't getting 3 kills. Well,
it's the only time he's staying still. It's like, yeah, his game's crashed. His game's definitely crashed.
Okay. Well, there was a technical timeout at some point. There wasn't there, but it didn't look like he dropped from the HUD that I had. Maybe the HUD that we had, because we got ESL to put the Observer HUD on our PCs, because obviously the CSTV HUD is dog shit. You don't get half the information. So maybe that didn't update on the feed and I couldn't see it when I was in there. Because
he said it in an interview, I think.
Okay. So. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense of why maybe we got a little bit miffed. I could understand exactly that if I can go drop from the game. Yeah. So those are a couple of questions I have. But I guess this is the thing now. We go forward with Spirit winning this event as them stealing the limelight and the spotlight. I think the target has been shifted off of the back of Vitality to some degree because of the type of loss they had and moved on to Spirit because of all of this hype around them. So now they go from being a dark horse to the considered, I guess, the number one threat to everybody going into the major. Well, I guess we'll talk more about that later when we have the Vox Pop and the RMR discussion. So we can talk more about Spirit later, and we will. So do we want to keep moving through the Katowice conversation? Prof, you happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's jump into the next little topic. Obviously, FaZe, the finalists up against them, who looked pretty highly strung. Karrigan very emotional after. You could see the tears. His 4th grand final, his 3rd runners-up. 2017, 2018, and now 2024. So sure, he's got the good memories of 2022, but he did that with a stand-in. And these other ones, like the FaZe grand final loss would have been fucking gutting. That was the 2018 one. And this one here, maybe for different reasons. They picked Overpass as the 3rd map. FaZe got to pick 1st and 3rd. They picked Overpass. They got fucking destroyed. It wasn't even a map in the 3rd game, really. The first 2 had their moments, but the type of rounds that they were winning were like scrappy, either rounds with pistols or clutches. Whereas the team that looked more dominant throughout the entire thing was Spirit. And I don't know, it felt, obviously Rain had the mouse problem in the 2nd map. He was using a Razer mouse, and then he came back with the black mouse. I don't know what it was. I'm not really up to date with the peripherals, but he wasn't using the same mouse after that had happened. And then the second half of Mirage, he didn't get a single kill. So yeah, I don't know what to make of FaZe. Obviously, you look at their quarterfinal and their semifinal, they fucking destroyed G2 and Mouse. It wasn't, and then what does that say about the rest of the team? So, Prof, when you see these type of results, do you how are you categorizing this grand final loss?
I think it just shows. I think where some teams are. I think it's difficult because it's not very linear math between like this team beat this team. I think probably the FaZe Mouse matchup is a very specific matchup, and the results reflected that in terms of you have 3x Mouse players playing against against Mouse. They have a pretty good read on what's happening and stuff like that. That was just also Mouse as a team in some of these big moments hasn't really. They don't really shine, right? Their big win was EPL in front of a studio crowd.
Studio audience, yeah.
So they're not really on that level. FaZe is still in that environment. They're kings, or they should be.
Well, that's what we thought, though, right?
Then the Spirit game kind of puts that in flux. But against the rest of the field, I think they're still a solid kind of baseline to see, who is good and who isn't. Essentially, I think the G2 win. Is anyone here sold on G2? Let's take it like that.
Not based on their performance at this event. They just, I honestly, when I was doing my fantasy picks, I instantly knew that I was not going to pick any G2 players.
Yeah.
And just because when you look at their group stage results, even so, they beat. 1 second. So they beat Heroic, a team who just changed the majority of their players. And they've been looking like they've been coming up, but haven't been particularly.
It could be
impressive.
Vitality.
Yeah, they lost to ENCE. They beat Vitality, but wait, G2 didn't beat Vitality. What do you mean?
Heroic.
Beat Vitality.
Yeah, exactly. But they lost to ENCE, and then they beat Monty, and then Heroic again. Yeah, Monty's been playing well, but at the same time, for a team of G2's caliber, it's just not it just doesn't look like they're able to hit the level that they were before, and I don't know what you could possibly do to change it. If you look at Harry's graphic that he made for performances in CSGO versus CS2, it's just such a dramatic change. And you have m0NESY who's doing so much, but then everyone else has dropped off to a degree where you need something to change there. And I just don't know what they're going to do because they literally just swapped JKS for Nexa. So
I think the big one for G2 is, I don't know if we're moving on to G2 completely now, but the big thing for G2 has been Hunter, because he was one of those third stars, like in the Zontics Majors mold that we talk about, and he's kind of, I think he had a lower rating than HooXi in the group stage of this event. It's his drop off has been that bad, and they're going to really need him to get back on form, because the whole point of adding Nexa for JKS was, he's a little bit more of a supportive player, he's a little bit more vibes based or whatever. So it should be making players like Hunter play better, not worse. And actually the opposite has happened. It looks like he's got less room in the server, not more. And
he did better in the playoffs, though, didn't he? Hunter looked
a little bit. He was okay in the playoffs, but that's kind of what you're looking at now is, if you're the GM of G2 looking to build, it's been long enough now that you kind of want Hunter to be a reign figure, your fourth best player who will pop off in big matches. But unless it turns around pretty quickly, in this major cycle, I think relying on him as your third star now is actually looking pretty difficult.
I'm going to leave the G2 conversation, Prof. We were talking about FaZe. I don't want to talk. No, it's all right. I don't want to talk about G2 because,
if you speak, you're in big trouble, as they say.
Yeah, I think what I think, and I will keep it that way. FaZe. So, do FaZe still, for you boys, still keep a position? Well, they must do, because you look at their CS2 track record. Is this just early teething issues with Frozen? Do we think that watching Frozen in this environment, does he feel like he's still going to be that right fit? I don't think, Nuke, for example, their top site looks fucking woeful, right? Their top site on Nuke against Spirit was no good. It was bad. Whereas when I think about Twists being behind, the site boxes, and they get some site control, they get 2 kills, and then they'll actually be able to retake. But when they lost topside against Spirit, it never felt like they were going to be able to retake. It never felt like they had a crack in the round. And we know that there was the role overlaps with what Frozen was playing on Mouse, and he was basically allowed to pick whatever positions he wanted coming to FaZe, and he didn't want to take the yard position. Rain still has it. And also in that Rain to Donk head-to-head matchup, it wasn't great either. So when I look at it from that level, but I guess overall, FaZe still the second best team of the tournament. Undoubtedly the second best team of the tournament. Nobody was even close to FaZe, but nobody was close to Spirit. It's I don't know. I don't know what was missing for FaZe on the day. because the whole conversation about them is they're a big game team and they're in a big game against a team with very little experience. I think there was a graphic on show that had like, it was only Shiro who's been in big event grand finals, and it was like 3 of them or something like that, compared to Karrigan that had like 24 or something along those lines as just one player. So I don't know what was missing. It just didn't look like a cohesive unit. What was your take, Harry, on FaZe? Oh, sorry. No.
No, all good. You go, her.
Like more and more, I can't remember who first said this, but more and more they feel like the 2015 first pro team. Like more and more, it kind of feels like it's an experience thing. It's kind of like they're ultra S tier gatekeepers. Like they can still win tournaments, but when a team's on a heater like Vitality was at the end of last year or Spirit this year, like that's kind of where they fall a little bit short. Like I don't think, maybe it's a bit of a hot take, but I don't think firepower wise they can actually compete with like Vitality and Spirit. I think they're actually a little bit short in firepower, and it's kind of the big game playing, the experience, the way they play clutches together that kind of levels up. Like I think like Rops is obviously top player, but I think in terms of like the second star, I think Frozen coming in has played like super well, but the CT side positions he's taken is like kind of like Rain a little bit, and then it needs Frozen to be that superstar for them to be able to compete like firepower wise, I think. And I think it's the system, it's Karrigan's calling and the experience that kind of levels them up more than like their raw firepower, I think.
Doesn't that change the blueprint they had with Twist though? Like Twists was always doing, I don't want to say he was purely supportive, but he sacrificed a lot within the team to be a supportive element, right? Like he was playing positions that he was setting other players up a lot. He was but he would always get a lot out of those positions. Like Twist wasn't. I don't know. Like this is a question, I suppose, more than anything. Was Twist statistically the second best player on FaZe?
No, he was.
I mean,
if anything, like when they won tournaments, Rain was third and he was fourth, like quite often.
So
especially on CS2.
So then, right, like so Frozen coming in and not taking all of the positions that he could have if he wanted them, which was mainly overlapping with Rain. But now we're saying that Frozen needs to be the second best player of this team. What like?
I think Harry is just slandering Brokey here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even. It's not even Brokey slander. It's the level of these other AWPers is insane. Like the kind of like it's Shiro Zyru that I'm comparing him to here. Like I
mean,
don't
m0NESY
think,
as well.
I'd Shiro Zyru m0NESY. It's that like the star duos on other teams are crazy. Like the Nico Zyru Spink of Nico m0NESY, Zyru Spinks, Dunk Shiro. Like that's where I think FaZe. It's the team that has to level up for them to be able to compete. It's not their raw individuals at that stage. It's something else going on behind the scenes.
I was gonna say before you made your point that what I saw at least in the 2 Spirit matches that FaZe plays was that Brokey was woeful between those 2 series specifically. But on your point, I would disagree that they don't have enough firepower. I think Frozen definitely adds enough of that, and I don't think that it's a drop off compared to Twist. But at least as far as
I didn't say that.
At least as far as like the FaZe the duo between the Opper and the Rifler, I do agree that I think there needs to be a level up in that sense. And I think for me, it has to come from Brokey just because the consistency sometimes isn't there. And when you compare that to some of the bigger duos, I do think that that's something that FaZe have to make sustainable and consistent at a higher peak. I think you're right in that it's not their overall firepower might not be as good as Spirits, but I wouldn't agree that it's not as good as Vitality's. I think that might be a bit of a stretch.
Well, Vitality have Flamesy, Spinks, Zywu, obviously. But Zywu clears everybody on the team, right? And then Spinks, you could say, is equivalent to a Rops, who is FaZe's best player. And as you go down the list, when we're comparing Apex and Karrigan, maybe I don't know. I guess you get more out of Apex, right? I would imagine you get more out of Apex. But at that point, what are we? We're splitting hairs at this point. I think that the Mezzy's left a bad taste in my mouth off of this event, so I have a hard time. I have a hard time replacing them with the Mezzy situation, because like I've just jumped to this conclusion. I'm like, nah, Mezzy doesn't look comfortable. It's not going to be good. Like Vitality needs someone else. Like my brain is just there right now. I don't know why it's there. It's just like, because it looked fine. Well, actually, it didn't look fine. He had that Vertigo game that was fucking against FaZe, wasn't it? And Twist and him had that like really. They both had that miserable first half on Vertigo or some shit. I don't know. We're jumping all over the place right now, but I don't think FaZe. I like the Virtus Pro comparison from 2015 with FaZe because I don't know what they would have to do to like level up, because we're always going to have the conversation about the experience. That's always going to be there once they get to an arena match, and then anything's possible, right? Like they just need to make sure that, whereas if they wanted to be like a consistent team from event to event from every single stage, I can see where those certain things are lacking. Like during the online era, we talk about like players like Rain not even wanting to get out of bed, this is hyperbole, to play those online matches, but you can understand why, right? You wouldn't want to get out of bed to play those fucking matches because they wouldn't feel like they mean anything. You get the surge of adrenaline playing on the stage match, entertaining people, doing it in front of thousands of fans. Whereas, you know, I think that for Spirit, as the comparison for them, it doesn't really matter what the game is. It's all weighted the same. They just want to go out there and show everybody that they can fuck, right? So, I guess we're not worried about FaZe then. We just are saying that we don't know when they're going to peak and when they're not going to peak. Is that a fair?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to launch like a huge inquest. I think it's like 5 full grand finals in a row. I think my overall point is just that I think when this team wins tournaments, it's kind of the Karrigan differential. Like I think they don't have a Zyra, they don't have a Donk, they don't have a m0NESY, but it's Karrigan's system. And I think like if there's a team that's going to bounce back and work out how to beat Donk, to be not back Karrigan to maybe be the guy that can work that out. And then like the team's good enough to make grand finals even like, you know, you can point at individually, be like, Rops had a bit of an off tournament this one, and then they still make the grand final. Like this is as high a floor as we've seen in a long time in a team. But it's just what takes them over the edge. And I think when it does work, it is Karrigan. And I think that's something to look out for at the major.
To be honest, it's also like, let's just continue talking about the major. Let's say FaZe make the grand final. Who says that Spirit is going to be the other team there, right? It might just be a Virtus Pro, you know, based on like how many games they played against each other and that it was close most of the time. Like maybe Virtus Pro is the team that can beat Spirit, and then they go to the grand final. And in that kind of a situation, you say FaZe win this 9 out of 10 times, right? So as long as they have like a pretty high baseline, they're always going to be dangerous and like competing for titles. So overall, still pretty good. Like they got donked, but everyone got donked. So yeah, that's fine.
Exactly. All right. Let's jump into actually, Luke, see there? Do you want to run some ads? We're an hour in.
Best esports odds. VIP program and a variety of bonuses. Fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Do you want to change your boring old skins for awesome new ones fast, without losing a lot of value, and without the risk of getting scammed? Go to Tradeit.gg and safely trade your items within 60 seconds. Just select which items you want to trade from your inventory and choose whatever skin you want from Tradeit's inventory. Click Trade, verify the trade on Steam, and you're good to go. With the biggest inventory available for the lowest trading fees on the market, Tradeit.gg is your go-to whenever you want to play with new skins.
All right, we're back in business. Let's quickly jump through some of these last few points, and then we can start looking at the RMRs that are starting tomorrow at 12 p.m. CET. I think it's just CET. We're not in summertime just yet. Now, someone in the chat, because we're going to jump to Falcons right now. We're gonna go kind of reverse order of what's left. Because someone in chat said, where is it? King0_23. Sponge is the same guy who said Falcons should get rid of their best player after the major. So let's go to Falcons. Does anybody think, wait, I went to Ent. Does anybody think that Boros will be a part of Falcons after the major if they have a similar performance as they just did in Katowice?
If they have a similar, I think he could stay. I don't think this is bad for them.
Okay, so if they go playoffs, you think it's okay? You think they're happy with that?
Yeah, but if they crash in group stage, then he might get the
okay.
Boot. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if you're talking statistically, maybe not, but I think if he's making the same mistakes and decisions he was at this event, then he will not last, because Snappy was frustrated, and you could also tell by the way he was actually playing on the server was just like he was still doing some of the things you would do in Monty, where you would just go for these peaks just because he was feeling it, and it would break their round structure. And like you just can't do that when you're playing in a team that has the kind of structure that Snappy's going for. And yes, people were like, oh, he was their best rated player, but that doesn't like mean anything when they're not actually able to convert some of those games into wins because of what he's doing.
Yes.
I mean, it is a risk reward, obviously, but like,
I think he
still.
gets at least, let's say, if there's like a, I don't know, 1 to 10 scale of getting kicked, he gets like a +2 roll based on the background, plus being like a very young talent, and like just he has potential for sure. I think he has a bit of a safer spot than we want to give credit for. I believe that. Maybe that's not true. Maybe it is fully like Zonic, Lars,
Do you think organizationally
Snappy. I think
is that your
organization
implication?
would like to keep him if there's a chance for him to become better. You know, I think he's going to get a bit more leeway and a bit more time than if he was the same player but from Croatia. That's it.
Look, I get the impression that he is difficult to play with in the server and maybe difficult to deal with outside of the server with just general day-to-day things like rocking up on time, for example, when you need to leave the hotel.
they called him out on that directly in the first interviews that they did. So I don't know if that's still a thing or if it's better. What do you think, Chad? If you'd had to guess, would you think that was still a problem?
If I had to guess, I might speculate that may have still been a problem. If I had to guess,
that's very interesting. If that
it was a guess of mine.
If your guess is correct, I feel like that would definitely sway him, and that's one of the things that are unforgivable. Like in-game decision making, I feel like you can give more space than just like, you know, waking up on time and being at a place at time.
Because the thing that you want to avoid, especially if you're a young talented player, because he's very talented, like he's very sharp. I think that's one of the things. He's very exciting to watch. He can boff some heads. We like players that can shoot players in the head quicker than other players who can shoot them back in the head. We love that, don't we? This is really, really good. But there are some problems that do crop up, because if you cause resentment within the ranks of your team and your teammates like are pissed off at you because you're rocking up late and like, you know, they're waiting on you and that kind of stuff, it doesn't matter how good you are at bopping the head, because, you know, well, actually, that's not true. If you can bop heads like Donk can bop heads, then maybe, you know, you can deal with them being, you know, late every now and again. But building resentment within the team, the whole point of a team is if you go to work and it's shit, you don't really want to go to work. So you want to make sure that the environment in your team is as good as it possibly can be. And I get the impression that isn't the case, especially from some of the reactions in the server to certain little details of things that are going on. People are always looking down the line at Boros. I don't know. This part is me speculating with the in-game stuff. So I worry about him from that angle. And when you have this opportunity, and this is the problem, Prof, I think if he thinks he's safe because of his nationality, that's a problem. That's bad.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want him to think that, right? But I don't even think he's the problem with the team. Like I don't even, the team is so new. I don't even think there is a problem with the team, right? I think that this is just a brand new roster that's come together. Like we had some more moments from Madden where he gets to put his firepower back on display, which isn't something he really was able to do on Ents as much. Because remember Madden of like no chance and stuff? He was like an entry fragger running it he was one of the first guys on Ancient to have like a massive performance, Sampaio's back in some decent form. So I think the Falcons is definitely one of these. I don't know what they're not flowering yet, right? They're still maturing as a bud, right? And their time to flower is soon. We are entering spring. Maybe this could work perfectly as this analogy. Or maybe they're a bird in an egg because they're a falcon. Harry, what do you think? Save me from this. What do you think of Falcons?
I think the Boros thing is an interesting one, because if they had got Nico, like it's in Boros' spot, right? Like they're still going to get the Ents core probably. And the thing with Boros is that he doesn't have all of those star roles. Like they've signed Magus because, you know, he's the best anchor in the world. And then he's playing A on Overpass, he's playing mid on Ancient, and then Madden's playing Con. And it's like, there's a few of these star roles where they're not giving them to Boros. And Boros is still like a rotator on most maps. But I think it does show a little bit of a lack of faith if they are talking, like they did try and talk him up a little bit as like, you know, he could be a top 20 player, he's got the best aim, blah, 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 blah. But he's not getting all these star roles, and maybe it's because he doesn't want them. But I think what Snappy's really good at is molding these kind of rough diamonds, right? And I think if there was like full faith, he would be in the star roles on every single map. And maybe it's a short term thing that they don't want to do that, and they want his decision making to get a bit better first. But I don't see Boros as like a long term solution, because Mages and Madden are not supposed to be in star roles. Like, I think Mages could do it, like, to a very good team still, but like, this is for a major winning team. I think you do want to have that secure star rifler, and I don't think they see Boros as that based on the spots they give him.
Okay. All right. Well, who else we got here? Let me jump into one of these. We already did G2 briefly. Mouse, do we think Brolin had a tough time in their semi-final match against FaZe, their only stage game, actually? He didn't show the same form as he did during the group stage. Torji, who I'm interested about Torji impact. He had some good impact on Ancient. He came alive. He was the only reason that we even had a map of Counter-Strike in that series. For Mouse to go through the group, I think if you look at their run, it's a bit. Didn't they beat Gamer Legion to qualify for the arena, and then they ran all over Ents to get the semi-final spot immediately? So this is another one where you can maybe look at the field and you can go, oh, okay.
And they just barely beat Cloud9 in their opening game as well.
That's right. Yes, and that was a very exciting game. That one we did enjoy. But for Mouse to get themselves straight through a semi-final, obviously the first time for Mouse in the organization in the Spodek. Younger names still within that mix. What do we make of Mouse? Because Brolin looked good up in the team up until the playoffs. Actually, they looked good as a team across the board up until the playoffs, and then it was Torji with some impactful rounds and Jimmy with a 3K, which started the CT side comeback momentarily. Anyone have any strong feelings about Mouse?
Still hard to say with the FaZe matchup. But you kind of want to see them against the other top teams, like, because they just lose to FaZe every time. And, you know, they did have a bit of an easy run in groups, but they still won, right? I think there's still clearly a very good system there. Like, and if Jimmy can step up into Frozen's roles a bit more, and then, like, Xertion had a really good group stage as well. Like, there is a template here for beating good teams. It's just when they're going to get battered by FaZe every tournament. Like, they just need to get a bit of a luckier draw to maybe see them against other teams to know where their level is.
Okay, so draw specific could be Shui's key to success or lack thereof. I don't know. Okay, we're kind of speculating here in the future. How badly do Mouse have to do at this event for Brolin not to get a full-time contract?
This event being the RMR, or
no, like let's. I guess I'm making a broad assumption here. If they don't make the major at all, I guess he won't get one. But is making the major enough for Brolin to get a full-time contract?
I would think so. I mean, I think
who's available, I guess.
Yeah, it depends. Exactly. It depends on who's available. I honestly had pretty low stocks for Brolin, and I didn't expect much from coming into the team. Like, I really didn't think he would fit well in terms of his level. But at least at Kato, he kind of impressed me just based on his level during the group stage. And also in their RMR matches, the close qualifier matches, they struggled about as much as I thought that they would. So it's still like, the thing, it's really hard to gauge when you're not able to see the kind of teams that they're competing against that they were beating before, and you've had them obviously losing to FaZe before. It's something that's, I still am not confident in Brolin in this team, which is why I think, like, you have to wait until we see him play against the other teams at the top and consistently against the top 10 to see whether his group stage level is more of like a fluke because of the teams he was playing against, or if he's able to properly step into those roles, because that will end up determining whether he gets a full-time contract, in my opinion.
Okay. I think the same kind of theme with a lot of these teams, though, it's too early, which I think is fair because, as discussed towards more of the top of the show, is we're in this period of time right now where everybody, and we can probably start discussing after the RMRs who is even realistically a contender for the trophy, and that could be blown wide open as well with how some of these events like to run. But we're in an arms race to win this one event, and then after that, literally anything is fucking possible with Counter-Strike rosters, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I think after this, because the way the season's going to shape up, there's a week later, then there's China, and then we have Pro League, and we have all this other shit. But essentially, I think anything's going to be possible, especially with like Simple saying he's probably going to come back after the major, right? So we can keep a bit more of that conversation going. But let's keep shifting gear. Let's keep moving forward. Let's start talking about the RMRs. Anything anyone else wants to say about Katowice? Was everyone happy? Did you enjoy your experience? Was there anything else that we didn't talk about with Kato? The Simple situation, him having an interview with Banks, saying he's going to come back. People Then he did an interview where he was saying he was not going to play for Cloud9. I thought that was everyone kind of would understand that. He's not going to play with Russians.
People are still writing it around, right? People are still speculating shit that doesn't make any sense, but glad we just have it cleared up. So I don't have to, say what he thinks. He just said it, so it's out
Kind
there.
of nice. You know what I find really funny is people going, "Oh yeah, but like, so he's going to return to Na'Vi, right?" It's like, guys, nobody knows what the results of the major are going to be, and everything that happens after the major is going to be predicated on the result of the major. Simple might get an offer to join some fucking super team. Let's say G2 like completely shits the bed and they're like, fuck it. Like, and they're just like, they want to just have a whole new team or whatever. Like, there's a chance for anything to happen with any of these rosters. So like trying to say, oh yeah, Simple should just go back to Na'Vi and replace Emma. It's like, why would Na'Vi, even if they fail at the major, want to stick with the roster they have right now? Like there's so much stuff that is possible to change. Like, why were we speculating on things that I feel that we're just going to have another big roster shift like we just did couple of months ago? I think that's going to happen again, just to some degree.
There's a lot of time. There's more time, I feel like, than before, because the RMR cycle and everything is going to start much later, since the major is November, December, right? So there's going to be so much time to do so much shit, and people will start doing that, I think, literally since first teams start getting eliminated from the RMR is when we're going to start having roster shuffles on the lower end.
Like
right?
big right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're out there making moves. 0-0 Nation's dead, so they got 2 players for free, right? So why not? There's gonna be more teams like this that are someone's gonna bomb out.
Yeah, like Bleed is waiting to make changes as well.
Yeah,
based on the RMR results. So
I mean, NIP already said it, so who knows if they can make it through or don't make it through. They should probably be looking at players that they can stash already there, and then when the major rolls out, people start getting eliminated from the major. EPL, IM, Blast Spring Finals, all of these are really cool for like the big teams, but no one's gonna wait for the opportunity to make a roster change. If they have a good chance, they're gonna make it right away, right? It's not gonna stop them.
All right, let's jump into this RMR talk. So again, the RMR starts tomorrow. We've got European Group A kicking off tomorrow. So we'll start there, shall we? That seems like the best place to do it. Now, in terms of the details for everybody playing at home, I guess we can talk through some of those now. It's the same as what you've seen for the online open, the closed qualifiers, which was Swiss. So opening round is going to be best of 1s, and then the progression or elimination matches is going to be best of 3s. The new seeding, right, that we have going on, or the new way that the initial matches are determined, it's not like 1 versus 16 anymore, right? It's like 1 versus 9. Is that right? Yeah. So that just basically, I assume that the intention there is that when we get to the very end of it, if we have teams who are in the 2-2, the higher seeds won't be playing against like the teams like 9, 10, 11, who in theory should be the better teams, but it'll probably still end up with some fuckulation. It always does. There's always some fuckulation going on. We always love a little bit of that. The thing that kind of slipped my mind, and we were talking about today during the briefing when I went to the PGL studio, is we won't know. So even if you go 3-0 in the Swiss stage, we won't know if you're going to be in the opening stage or the elimination stage because there's a reseeding.
Okay, how does the reseeding? Reseeding works based on the Valve ranking, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's way better, honestly.
But that's kind of like, I don't know how I missed that piece of information, because when I heard it today, I was like, really? Okay, so we're reseed. So we won't know if they're in the elimination stage or the opening stage until after the LCQ. Because we need all the teams qualified to know the rankings of the teams qualified to see where they're going to be placed.
Which is much better, because the Swiss system isn't meant to rank 1 to 16.
Yes.
It's just to eliminate half of the teams. And then this way, we're not going to get the team, especially with the 1 to 9 thing, also changing stuff. But essentially, Bad News Eagles going 3-0 because they played like, best of 1 win against FaZe and then 2 lower teams. And now they're like top 2 seed of the major. That's not realistic. They're not.
It
top
also
2 seed.
stops like the rubbish like 5th to 6th tiebreaker for a legend spot or whatever, which is just it's just so garbage to do it like that.
Yes,
that's not the point of the system.
Obviously, people are saying so it doesn't matter if you go 3-0 or 3-2. It does in terms of like wins and ranking and how many points you're going to get, and stuff like that. So it does matter to some degree, but overall, everything that you did in the last 3 months matters. So,
but that to me, hopefully Valve renew the rankings post LCQ, right?
I mean, they have.
Yeah,
to,
I think
right?
that's the point. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like I know
We
we're
thought it
making
was
some
the point for the
assumptions.
RMR.
We're making some assumptions here, aren't we, boys? Like, you know, like this is the thing. We need to hope that they do that as opposed to just leaving things as they are, as they lie right now. Is there anything else in terms of the format that we need to make sure that we're talking about here? Like it's like I said, best of ones in the opening games to establish your position. Then once you're in a position to either qualify or get eliminated from the event, it becomes a best of three. It's pretty standard. It's been like that for the longest period of time. In terms of where you're going to find yourself in the majors, we'd like to talk about. Well, at least. Is there any movement on this being the RMRs maybe even being the most important tournament of the year? Do we like that? Do we like that positioning? How do we feel about that? Obviously, potential life-changing money on the table. But I say potentially because we never know how much sticker money could be made. We know the last one was fucking mental, but we can't really bank on that, which is what the orgs will tell you. Right? You don't know exactly how much money you're going to make from these things. The first CS2 major stickers. You feel like that one's going to be positive, right?
I would say overall for the if you take how important it is for every team that's playing and add that up, I think it's the most important tournament of the year, together with the second RMR, right? Because you look at the Katowice or whatever, and you know it is important for everyone, but most teams know they're not going to win it. It's not gonna do anything for their legacy. They know maybe they make a playoffs, but even if they make playoffs, it's not going to change their lives. When you look at an RMR, especially for these lower ranked teams and teams that haven't done anything yet, going to the major, and even if it's not the most wealthy sticker money, you know, of all time, getting like $100,000 just by qualifying for the major as a player, that is life changing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. All right. If we haven't missed anything, let's jump into this tier list. Did Dimitri do up a tier list? Did he, Prof?
Yes.
Do we know what the categories are?
I think I helped them with that, and it's something like lock in. Here we go. I need to full screen this.
I can't
at the
read
top.
it. Mine's way too fucking pixelated. So I'll tell you a word on this.
Maybe we can get the link from Lucas so we could just read the thing. Maybe.
That's all right.
Bad internet gang.
Yeah,
It
look,
doesn't load it either.
hotel internet, man, and you're on UK
Here
internet.
you
They're
go.
basically
I'm
the same
gonna.
thing.
Yeah,
I'm
middle
getting
of
it now.
London, not good internet. Thank you.
So it's lock in, likely, maybe, and long shot. These are the four categories. So the top two are like we think they're gonna go through with different levels of, you know, security, and then the bottom two are like probably not, and then no way.
Okay. Well, is there anyone here that can I go first?
Yeah.
Can I put Enterprise in long shot, please?
Yes. That's like
I feel like this is a game show. Enterprise.
Enterprise is a red key.
It's that one right there. Yeah. So this is a Polish lot. Demo is one that people might remember from home, and Tau, or the one and only. They've been kicking around the Polish scene for some time, but for them to qualify, I would say it's a long shot. Are they the lowest seeded team?
I
I'm
think
not
Falcons
sure.
are.
Oh fucking hell. Okay.
These Falcons, then Fnatic, and then them. I think. In
That's
terms of
also
visuals, you know.
thank you, Valve, for like I hate this
Yeah.
so much. I don't want to go on this rant, but like if Valve want to be more involved, then they have to be more involved. I know this is like crazy, but if they want to be like, oh, we're gonna decide who's gonna qualify, we're gonna do our ranking, we're gonna do these things, they need to actually have one person working on this consistently and not just like appearing out of nowhere and not really caring about what is done. Because stuff like this where Falcons, because they changed their players, but they changed it in increments, they lost all of their rankings points. Essentially, they didn't pick up the ranking points from ENCE because like it was first Snappy, and then they had a
the
ranking
core.
update,
Yeah.
and then they had two more players join. So then it doesn't really make sense, right? Falcons are not the worst team, so they shouldn't be seeded.
They
last,
even have
but
a Intel Grand Slam notch,
yes, that is something, isn't it?
isn't it?
But
Isn't
yeah,
it?
I'll go next. I'll put FaZe in lock-in.
Okay.
Wow, bold.
Okay. Wow. Look
Okay.
at you go.
Based on
Shouldn't be bold.
what I mean, you can challenge it. You may challenge it.
No, I don't have any problems with it at all. I think that if they don't, then they're one of those teams that will probably have roster changes. Let's just put it that way. FaZe should be the most certain out of the bunch. Now, whether or not they'll get there in a 3-0 fashion, I don't know, but they should be qualifying for the major in the elimination or the opening stage once we see how it all shakes out. This is the problem, though. Like, I look at this and I go, there should be a couple of other names that are clear to put in that column, but I'm struggling.
I can go next. I'm gonna put Fnatic into long shot as well. Actually,
Ooh, okay. Slightly controversial. Tell us why.
So I was watching their RMR games, the open qualifier ones, but also the closed. And watching them play, it's just not convincing. Like their structure doesn't, like, I'm not sold on their structure. They have no particular stars who can actually like take over an entire game. Like, yes, you have players who like individually might have a good game here and there, but there's no consistency to a player I could point to and be like, they're gonna win this because it's, you know, this player and this player usually pop off, and then you have this structure around them. There's none of that for them. And then you have them playing in these other online events, and they're just losing to like teams that are, they're losing to like Incilio, they're losing to Sprout and 3D Max. It's just, when you look at the rest of the field here, it just doesn't seem like they have a chance.
Okay. All right. I wonder when Fnatic will have their sobering moment like NIP have. Maybe it'll be after this event. Let's see. Maybe they'll come to their senses too. Okay.
VP. I think they're an interesting one because they're the type of team that, you know, like, you want to characterize them as a team that never gets upset, that, you know, always goes through the group stages. But then last RMR, they had that absolute stinker. So I think they should be a lock-in because of the way they play. Like, it should neuter upsets. Yeah. But after the Chiron one, it does scare me. But I think that they're as close to a lock-in as you can get while having that disaster at the last RMR, I think.
Okay. I can see. Yeah, I would put them in like, well, yeah, they should be really when you think about it, right? Like, it's hard to, especially if we want to make sure we put other teams in that column. We're really running out of names quite quickly.
We can't put one team. We can't be one lock-in.
With that uncertain. That'd be crazy. I look at I feel just mean when I do these things because I know that the players like watching stuff. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't know. I think EF should be likely considering the type of Counter-Strike that we've seen them play. And there's 8 spots available in the group, everybody, right? So there's 50% of the field is going to qualify. And with that in mind and the type of Counter-Strike they showed, I didn't like their last match that I saw them play where they just started playing slow and very fakey and whatnot. I think strategic side of Counter-Strike can be one of their strengths, but I think their main strength should be leaning into Wakadia and Xantares to be able to open them up into rounds. But I think Eternal Fire, based off of their Katowice performance, should be likely. But then I can see just a world where they're just tussling with like a fucking bet boom, and it's like, oh no, this is not going well. You know, for whatever reason, I can see that kind of cropping up. But it felt like they had a lot of depth, and they were able to play different styles, and they had, you know, good players to turn to. So I'm going to go with EF likely. Does anybody disagree with that? You're more than welcome to.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as long as they don't tilt, I think, because it was that. Well, it was the FaZe game, and they had lots of chances, and it went past midnight.
They could have 2-0'd.
They really could have 2-0'd, and then the third map they just lost all energy, and it looked kind of like the vibes were down. So if they're in a stressful 2-2 game and that happens, but like on paper with the players they have, they should get it. I think.
Okay.
I want to throw another in long shot, and it will be Into the Breach.
Okay, you're not a Masuta Bemis believer.
I'm a Thomas denier. Once
Wow.
again.
Well, he proved you wrong last time around, didn't he, Prof?
Well, he can try to do that again if he wants.
No Brits by his side. Well, actually, to be fair, didn't they get rid of Thomas, and now they had to bring him back so they could still have the core of him, Crucial, and Rallen? So
yeah. So I mean, that's great for them, I guess, but they didn't do anything in a while, so I don't really have a reason to believe, to be honest.
fair enough. Yeah, hard to argue with that. What about Saw? Where would we put Saw?
I haven't watched a ton of them.
I haven't seen them in a long time
Their
since the
results
last
are always better
RMR.
than you think they are.
That is true. Number
Every
29
time you
in
check,
the
you're like
world.
they're just beating teams that you think they wouldn't.
They just beat Rhino.
They beat Koi as well. They beat Koi. They beat
beat
Nine
Al-
Pandas in the
Alcon-
qualifier. They beat Fnatic.
Yeah.
So maybe they're on the
It's
fringe.
fine, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fringe, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the cusp for sure. Like, but the fact we haven't mentioned Na'Vi yet and put them like with the way that Na'Vi played Katowice, yeah, no,
I almost feel like Navi should be a lock-in. for
really,
me. Yeah.
I
I
think
was
so.
thinking the same, but then I remembered some like just had the dog Vietnam War flashbacks.
I feel like they
Uh,
should be a lock in, but I don't think they are a lock in.
See the thing was before you put VPN, my debate was between putting G2 Navi or VPN, and I also thought that VP should be there. But I still, when I'm looking at it, I feel like if you actually take the category names at face value and you say likely versus lock-in, I don't think Navi is a likely. I just feel like they will be there, just based on the way they were playing in Cato. Like it's not that I don't think it's likely they'll qualify. I think they just will.
They can't
Because-
come in flat though. That's what I felt like in Katowice. Is they came in flat. They were just like fucking defaulting and shit. They weren't doing anything.
Yeah, that is. I mean, they came in to a Spirit game though. To be fair.
Yeah. Well, the only team to take a map, so we have to give them that.
Yeah, I do think I was also leaning towards lock-in. I think we should put them there.
Really,
Yeah,
Harry? Which side of the
I think
fence are
there's
you on,
enough to
mate?
go off. They had a few struggles. It's a mental thing again. I think if they're not a lock-in, it's because they've had an absolute mental collapse. Like that's like their system is good enough. Their T-side win rate recently has been crazy, and it's just like, and then there's a few individual incidents in game where you kind of see heads drop. So that's kind of the worry again. Is it's a mental thing, but that's always the case at the RMRs with these things, and
but this is
because the RMRs
yeah.
are the highest pressure events, it's kind of the most likely place for that to happen. Like it shouldn't happen. I think their recent results are good enough that they should be a lock-in, but they're one of those teams you'll keep an eye on, and they're one of the teams that if you're at the event, you'll try and stand near, try and hear some comms, and try and work out what their energy is. Because if there's no problems, like they should sail through.
Okay. All right.
Because I also think we should put G2 in lock-in for all of their problems. I think
Yeah.
they're just on a higher caliber. Some of their individuals they're just gonna power through.
Well, Monacy should be able to beat half of the teams here on his own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He might have
It's-
to.
you might there is a chance. They're not the same level as FaZe. No, nowhere near. But I think it's very unlikely that something happens that they don't qualify, in my
Okay.
opinion.
But right now it feels like we've just put the home, we've just gone, well, these are the good brands. Let's put them in the top section. That's kind of what it feels like right now.
I mean, now we need to fill out these because these in the middle are the difficult ones.
Well,
to
my
place.
question
Yeah,
is though,
this is the
did
weaker group.
Did G2 convince you enough between Blast and Kato to actually make you that sold on how they're playing to put them into a lock-in in two BO1 openers into a BO3?
Yeah. But
That's the
stick them in RMR B and they're not a lock-in. I think in RMR A. they are.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking as well. There's
that's fair.
there's not enough quality overall. I mean,
The opening matches against Into the Beach, so they should whale them.
haha.
You like that?
Yeah,
it's
it was
pretty good one.
actually.
But they should win that opener. They should again, right? But we've seen them have some stinkers before. It's one of these fucking things, man, where the underdogs are swinging for the fences. They have nothing to lose. Like, what does Into the Breach have to lose? They shouldn't even be.
Oh
here.
my god, I already have an excuse for G2. They're in Katowice for 2 weeks. They're in Blast before that. They
I've
travel
been on the road for
directly.
too long.
They've been on the road for too long. The mental focus is just not there. They have a weak start. Someone's sick from Katowice. It's happening. It's happening. Monacy is sick of all players.
Oh no.
Everything's falling apart. Maybe they need to use Taz.
Taz has to stand in. Oh
Bro,
no.
Nico is on the up. It's all falling apart.
Speaking of the hungry underdogs, though, I want to know how you guys rate Amcal out of this list. Then I don't know.
ICY is supposed to be wicked, right? Isn't he like
Who?
people are talking him up a lot? The Orpa, ICY.
Yeah,
I don't. It might just be Icy. To be honest,
I think it's just
I don't know.
icy.
I think it's just Icy. It's like Kazakh guy, right?
Who else they got?
Just
They got
another Russian-speaking
Nickelback.
Orpa who's
They have
Travis
Brad
online.
and Forrester, I think.
Yeah, Crowd Forester.
Yeah, it's the one win core.
Yeah, look. I couldn't put them. I couldn't put them in long shot. They definitely have to be a maybe, and maybe even I'd put them in likely.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
seen that
it's
much
between
to,
maybe and likely.
They don't play much.
judge.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like the names there, if we're going off a bit of name value, which clearly we are, like I would probably have just as much faith in them as I would in BetBoom.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
more.
So Amcal beat Astralis and Koi online
Yeah.
to qualify.
They 2-1 Astralis too.
Yeah, 80
But then they
wide
lose to
swing.
like Espionage in the Challenger qualifier. So they just haven't played enough.
Let's say,
Yeah.
It's so hard for teams to even prep for them. which
let's
might even
start.
help.
If you do you want to put Amcal somewhere? Note.
I'll put them in maybe. They're like fringe, maybe likely for me. It's hard.
It's hard to
Okay.
justify
Yeah,
likely,
that one.
especially
That's
when they
the one.
haven't played that much. Yeah, that's the
That's the
one, I
thing,
guess.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so out of the rest of the teams, I feel like it's between like 3D Max and Koi for the worst here.
Really?
What do you think? Who do you think is the
I
worst?
don't know.
team out of the
NIP is
rest?
still on my screen.
Oh,
That is also an option, I think.
9 Panda believer.
Well,
What
Nine
about
Panda
C's?
have fucking deal of these nuts, which is really sick.
Clacks and glowing. Seized, of
The-
course.
They have pretty good results
Seized has
overall.
been with Clacks and glowing for ages.
Yeah,
yeah.
Look, I think. Do we put Falcons in likely?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's put
definitely.
Falcons in likely. So you for some why am I kind of high on 3D Max? I don't know why. Like I think in early CS2 I was watching them and I liked some of the stuff they were doing, but I guess maybe that was a while ago now. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being too high on them. It's hard to be excited about NIP, to be completely honest. And Koi, don't Koi have Sedodo AWPing now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Because Martinez went and fucked up his whole life. Went to 9Z. Imagine deciding to go play with Buddha. Like that was the choice he made. That's what he said. This is the choice I'm making. Oh, fucking hell, Martinez. Can't we just put all of them in long shot? Like, do we have to be nice?
Someone has to go somewhere higher.
Yeah,
No
but
way. No way. They're
I think
all.
all of them are probably maybe, right?
But look, we already have 7 teams there, Prof. We've got 4 in lock in. We've got 2 in likely. And we've got 2
That's
in
6.
maybe.
Okay.
That's
They just
That's
all
18.
kind of feel like maybes, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so hard to judge these.
okay,
saying-
what's the most fringe one out of the 5 then that you could put into likely?
Probably 3D Max, right?
I think.
You think so?
I think.
Recently.
I think 3D Max are good for some reason.
I think Nine behind us.
Yeah, they're like they're one of those scary teams online, aren't they? But recently I feel like I've not seen them win as many. Just
They're
checking.
kind
though.
of their results
they
are
beat
super up
Fnatic.
and down. That's the thing.
A lot when you
Yeah.
go into these teams and doing some research,
It's
it's
always like
amazing
that.
because everyone beats everyone.
Yes.
Just depends on
The
how many.
results mean nothing.
Nine Pandas beat 3D Max, but then lose to Saw, and then like 3D Max beats fucking Heroic, but loses to everyone else, and it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
But this is,
Can't
this is
really-
the whole conversation here is the best of 1 opener matches, right? It's going to determine. It's going to put them on this path.
Okay,
Right? So but I don't even need to look at the opening games to like, for example, FaZe versus 9 Pandas. That's the opening match.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah,
That's a
Navi
tricky one.
versus Koi, right? VP versus
Yeah.
Saw. Like you go down the list here and you start like listing off.
I
all
would
these...
put BetBoom into likely then, to be honest, out of those teams because they play Fnatic and they're opener.
Otherwise, they should be right. Like
Mm,
They
yeah,
played like fucking dirt in Kato, didn't
Yeah.
they?
they
I can't
tilt
put them
so
in my-
hard as
They
well.
tilt a lot, but yeah, that's the problem.
I love
can't put
seeing them argue mid game. That was really good. Nafany arguing with what's his name? The new boy.
Danists.
That's
isn't
the
it?
guy. Danists.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
Let's
arguing mid game.
put them all into maybe and put Koi into long shot.
Koi
that's
in a
my-
long shot.
That's-
Just to tilt Lucas.
They've-
when you
I mean,
watch
they've
it.
lost Martinez and Alex. Like if they
They're-
qualify even now, like that's like it's just
I think this is
hats
fair.
off to them.
I think this is
yeah.
fair.
Okay. All right. So we've got FaZe,
Yeah.
VP, Navi, G2 in lock in. We've got Eternal Fire and Falcons in likely. We've got Saw, Amcal, 3D Max, NIP, BB Team, and 9 Panda in maybe. And then in long shot, we've got Enterprise
Fnatic
Fnatic
down on
into the
me.
bridge and Koi.
But
Okay.
it is deserved. Like I think Fnatic's lineup on paper, the players look better than the results, but the results are dog shit.
All right. All right. All right.
And they've got
All
low
right.
seed as well. That won't help. Like they will
Yeah.
be playing the phase and VPs at some point probably.
This is it's not a okay. Anyway, never mind. It's all right. It starts tomorrow. We'll have the results coming our way very soon. We'll be able to get to the bottom of this whole
I don't
mess.
think we'll be that bad. I don't think it'll be that bad.
You're
I think
okay,
it'll
all
be
right.
pretty good.
All right,
Let's
all
go
right,
on the
all right.
next group.
We need
whenever you're ready.
to do our vox pop.
Oh, we have a vox pop.
Yeah, we're gonna do our vox pop. So as every week, as every episode, we ask you at home because we value your opinions so much. We love what you, the people, have to say, and we wanted to know what you at home thought Spirit will get up to at the RMRs. And we had 4 options, multiple choice, of course, as you'd expect. I voted not on Instagram, but on Twitter. Actually, maybe I did vote on Instagram. Let's see what I voted for. I think I did 2 different votes over 2 different things just to be.
Me too.
Yeah, it's kind of fun like that. It's only 3 options? I thought it was 4 options. No, never mind. It's only 3 options on the screen right now. So hold up. Let me bring it up. Let me get it here. Clicking. Okay, so the options were: how will Spirit do at the RMR? Post-win slump, destroy everyone. RMR major win incoming. And people seem to think they'll destroy everybody at the RMR, which they're in the tougher of the 2 groups. There's still a big chunk of people who have gone for a post-win slump, which is ahead of winning the major. So I guess once you have the target on your back a little bit more, but it's not like Spirit came in and people were completely sleeping on them. They weren't an unknown entity at Katowice, a team that still had a bit of groundswell behind them, considering the field being relatively weak. I think that's people have voted for the safest option.
Yeah. I mean, is it the safest? I guess it is. It's still pretty confident, let's say, destroying everybody. But I think it just shows where the sentiment is for Spirit, and that is that they're what would it be like 80% of the people, 70%, 75% think that they're really good and that they'll continue to be good regardless of this like huge result that they just had.
Does anybody here think they won't qualify in the RMR?
Not a chance. I don't think
There's always
they don't qualify.
There's always a chance.
All right, next question. Does anyone here think that the favorites going into the major?
That's a hard question.
I think it's gonna be such a tight. Like the betting odds, there's not going to be a favorite. I don't think.
I think they're instantly propelled into the top 3 with like FaZe and Vitality.
Well, we only had the 2 before, didn't we? Coming into this year, it was Vitality and FaZe, and then Who, and now it's Vitality, FaZe, and Spirit, and maybe not even particularly in that order. So they go in as one of the teams to look out for. I guess we haven't seen any signs of them just like falling off, and that's kind of what the next couple of events are going to be, or the RMRs are going to be, and part of that conversation. But yeah, I think again, as you're mentioning, it kind of reinforces the point that we were talking about earlier, that they played solid CS as a team, right? Donk was obviously amazing, but they played solid Counter-Strike as a team, and then we were able to point positives around. So the people at home seem to be pretty content with how things are heading. Let's jump into the tier list. Lucas, could you link the tier list for Group B as well? I'll jump into the Group B. That starts, is it Monday, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Yeah. Monday next week is when Group B starts. And the teams in Group B are Vitality, Monty, Apex, Gamer Legion, Guild, which is Bad News Eagles, Ents, Mouse, Spirit, Cloud9, Astralis, Preci, Ecstatic, Pera, OG, Nexus, and Heroic. So yeah, this one here, just even with the names coming out of my mouth, I think the middle of the field feels a lot tighter. And a few more names to be in the conversation for us of who's going to make it through. So we're going to have a tougher task working out for Group B as far as the tier list is concerned. We'll get that up on screen. Sorry, Prof.
I can pick one whenever you're ready.
Okay, go.
Pera and Not a Fucking Chance.
What, they're getting accused of cheating, right?
I will not comment further.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Spirit lock, get out of the way.
Who?
Yeah, Spirit of Lock for sure.
Okay, yeah. Whack them up. The dragon, that one, Lucas. Good job.
Vitality surely as well.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
Speed through that.
Yep.
I really hope we use the right Spirit logo this time.
Oh, because they changed it recently, didn't they?
They made some small change. They
It's the
changed
Japanese flag, isn't it?
What? Yeah. Yes and no. But no one can see the difference except people from Spirit, so it's very difficult.
Can we put OG in long shot and Nexus in long shot?
Yes, absolutely. I think Ecstatic I would put as a maybe.
Nexus
wait,
is the green one near the end, Lucas. Yeah, that one there.
Or sorry, Prezi I would put in the maybe. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
What would be really funny is Prezi have still been really good, like pretty good post Nika does, but they keep losing to Ecstatic. So if that happens, that would be quite funny. That matchup.
Lucas is picking Heroic, putting it into lock-in, just so you know.
They're 16 seed as well, by the way.
They
It's
are
happened
like
to them too.
they're likely.
They're bottom.
I think with the type of Counter Strike that we saw them play, they are likely.
And we didn't speak about Ents before.
Oh yeah, because I'd already
Oh,
clicked on
yeah.
them. That's my fault. Well, we can talk about them now. That's my bad. Well, okay. Where would you put Ents then, Prof?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sold. I'm not fully sold.
So you think their run was a fluke?
I feel like it was fluke-esque.
Fluke-esque. Okay.
Yeah.
It had a
It's-
fluke nature about it, did it?
It had a bit. It had a bit of that, especially the way it like kind of the bubble bursted at the end, right? It was very flat in the playoffs. I feel like not really a huge competition there. So I'm not sure what to think. The good thing is that Hades looked fucking sick. So I think that's a good thing to rely on.
How many times are they getting Vertigo and best of ones?
One probably.
One
It's-
probably.
I don't know who they're playing, but
It's just such a tough competition. It
It's
can't
just-
be likely, I don't think.
The problem is that there's just no rifler who can consistently step up alongside Hades to make them someone that I would put into a likely group. Like they played well in Kato, but yeah, like you said, it seems like a bit of a fluke run just based on the way they came into the event. Even like that Glaive game on Ancient as well is like you're not gonna get that over and over.
Their run was
Let's be
so tough
honest.
as well. Like they're being really good teams. So it does feel harsh. Like it does feel like something's happened. But like in RMRA, I'd take them. But it's
Yeah.
like, so who else is there? Like Astralis, Cloud9,
Cloud9.
Monty, Mouse,
Mouse.
Guild Eagles have been prepping for this for the last 12 months. Like
New flip side.
it's hard. It's hard to say Ents have more of a chance than them, if not like just slightly. So I don't know. I don't think maybe he's too harsh, even based on how good the teams that they've already beaten are.
Okay. Ents
Also,
maybe
Ents are playing Spirit. Is that true?
in the
I thought
opening game.
matches aren't. Yeah, I thought matches aren't determined yet.
So they will because it's our ranking. Yeah, they're seed 11.
Okay,
Spirit
okay.
Like on the
Do we
major base.
plug Mouse into lock-in?
I feel that they should be a lock-in, but then part of me is no, I think they should. Mouse should be a lock-in.
I think the track record has been really
Yeah.
good overall.
What about Monty? Is
Monty
there-
looks real fucking mid.
Likely, I
yeah,
would
more
say.
like a likely.
Really?
I think so. I think in Kato they struggled, but in general they were playing really well at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Problem like their preparation was
It's
also we had
winter break,
SDY on, and like their prep was pretty shit with all of the visa issues, and not visa issues, but like not being able to leave the country, not having any boot camps and stuff like that. So I don't know how much they managed to do.
But don't they have to go
in-
back between Kato and this?
Yeah, I don't know what they managed to do in Katowice, and then how they all.
I'd put them as much of a maybe as Ents.
Yeah, I think they're in a similar category. Like they could both be maybe, could be likely,
Likely.
but I think let's put them in maybe for now, and maybe we can reset later and push them.
Like
push them
Apex
up.
is another team in maybe for me.
Yeah.
Like they have enough to eke through games, and they
Yeah.
showed comeback potential or not giving up in any of the games that they played, which is going to be very important. I think the reps for them was important in Katowice for an event like this. Ecstatic, I think, is a long shot.
Yeah. Astralis I would check into likely.
Yeah, surely.
Well, they just had a fucking meltdown.
Yeah.
Like, but that's why to put them in likely, I guess it should be likely. They would
And-
things would be the worst they've been in a long time for Astralis if they don't qualify. Yeah.
And,
But,
yeah,
but it's the same reasoning as like Navi having a meltdown as Astralis. Like it's kind of like how consistently is that going to happen for based on the teams that they're playing here? I feel like if you look at the results during Blast groups and then Kato, like Kato almost seems like an outlier with the names on this team as well. I'm not sure if you caught their close qualifier matches, but those were also like they looked relatively strong, minus the game they lost to Amcal. But even then, I think there was like a triple overtime or something in that. So
I want
it's not like they're not confidence inspiring with the structure.
I want to say that we're not being like fair or equal towards all teams, because a team like Astralis, we can be like, oh, they had shit results, but we'll not consider these shit results. But then we look at Fnatic as like, results are shit. They are the worst team of all time.
Yeah, but we
I
also
do
look at Enzo. We
think-
go, they had good results, but maybe they'll make it.
But I do want to say there is a difference in terms of Astralis simply has fucking sick players, and we saw some glimpses of them being really good. And I think that instills enough confidence to be like, okay, the Katowice thing happened, but that's not going to be their average. That was their low point, and their average should be good enough to make it through.
Should the average of Cloud9 be good enough for them to make it through? I kind of want them not to make it through, so then they have to get an AWPA.
I can't. I don't know. I can't speak about Cloud9 anymore.
Okay,
I'd
you'll
be
let me
here
with
for an
G2.
ENCE or a Monty to beat them, just for the vibes.
Okay.
They definitely have to
But
be.
I think they have to be a tier above for now.
Okay.
What did you say?
He said
As
they
in,
have
like,
to be above a
If they're
tier.
on maybe, it's maybe. I mean, they have
We could
been
put them in
really,
maybe.
Really bad.
Based
I
on
think
what are
maybe
they
it's
better
like
than
the top
Ents
of
and Monty?
maybe.
The top of maybe.
Yeah, I mean, top of maybe
Mm.
sounds about right. Honestly, I was trying to figure out whether to put them into likely or maybe as well. But the problem with Cloud9 for me is that you can see the firepower they have in the matches, and it actually, like, their structure and the strats that they have actually work, but the lack of an AWPer always comes back to bite them. And the worst thing about watching them is seeing them stick Perfecto on the fucking AWP round after round, and it's brutal because they're just wasting him as a player when they're doing that.
Yeah, that like, I don't mind Boomich doing it when he's on like CT side overpass, whatever. I think that's fine. But seeing Perfecto doing it, and then on the T side, to look for, I'm like, why even bother? Like, what are you? What? You don't even need it. What are you fucking wasting your time for? But the more I think about best of one MR12, right? You lose both pistols. You only need 2 or 3. Well, you don't even need that many. You need like 2 gimmicks on your T side. You need 2 gimmicks, 2 rounds that they're just not ready for. That you've just like fucking geeked out hard, and you win both of those. With the pistol, with the conversions, you are fucking sitting pretty in a half of Counter-Strike. Like, that's why I think the Bad News Eagles, the Guild Eagles conversation about, like, if they come in here and Devil Walk's just been cooking alongside a Crystal and they have just a couple like of geeked out rounds, then it should be enough. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if I always doubt them. It's just that they're never a threat outside of a major. And then even in a major, they're just eking in. So maybe just based off of the fact that they seem to always do it, should we put them in
Likely.
because they always seem to do it?
Have to. You just have to respect it.
You say
You have to-
I agree with you though, because like if you've caught their qualifier games they've played online, they looked so bad.
Yeah.
They looked really trash.
And they didn't make
inside
any
these
roster
games.
changes. It's the same
Yeah.
team. It's exactly the same. It's like, this is the thing. And this is why I don't understand why they joined Guild. I guess they wanted the security of the fucking salary. But it's like, if you just stayed as Bad News Eagles, boys, just keep cashing those major checks. Just keep cashing them. Don't give the sticker money to anybody. Just fucking keep making that generational wealth.
I saw someone say that they might get all the sticker money, like
Oh, that's
Guild
pretty
won't,
good.
something like that. So
Why would you sign him then?
Maybe they just maybe they get the player sticker, not the team. Like, you can't believe they got all of the team money, but whatever.
That'd be a lot of money.
Gamer Legion is a team.
They play solid team Counter-Strike though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it should be enough to get them through against most of the names, even without like a pop-off A-core performance, in my mind. Like, list the teams here that you think can beat Gamer Legion from below where we have them right now. Like Ecstatic, no. Nexus, no. OG, no. Para, no. Gamer Legion should be all of those names, right? And then you're going up against teams which are more equal, which is where we are right now in this maybe column. And then when you go toe-to-toe with a lot of these, yeah, I can see Gamer Legion winning those games and it not being like, oh, wow, I'm surprised by that. Like, I can see them win those games. I think that they do have a good approach to the game as a team. I just don't think that their individuals have enough peaks, right, or stability at their height to be contenders. But to get through this is a tough field, though. I guess that's the thing. It is a fucking tough field.
but
It's
I would
either-
have Gamer Legion and likely way over Guild Eagles. Like this, just Guild Eagles are in there
That
just
one's-
based on them winning these
Vibes.
qualifiers before, like with straight vibes, exactly.
Well, Guild should be maybe, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just I think I think keep Cloud9 in maybe as well. I think it just shows the influx nature of all of these teams, right? And I don't think that's a problem. I think that this is exactly where we're at right now in Counter-Strike. Is we have a couple of teams who we think are stronger than everybody else, but what is the gap between those teams? And is that gap as big as we think? And considering the conditions of an event like this, considering the context of an event like this, what are the upset? What are the boxes that you tick for an upset, and are they possible? And yes, we've seen it plenty of times before. So we're not sitting here speculating about things which aren't possible and haven't happened. And right now, I think it's less clear than ever which teams are the absolute very best. And that's kind of what I hope happens at this major. Like I don't want all the best teams just to lose, but I want to see. I want everybody to see that, it's not as clear as it once was. We don't have that big leap between the upper echelons and everybody else. I think the game is at a point where it's still pretty close, right? And again, returning to the best of one conversation, we're going to hear plenty of that over the next 2 weeks, everybody. That's all we're going to fucking hear is best of ones. There'll be complaints about FPS. Don't you worry about that. I'm already seeing the tweets coming out. That got me thinking. You guys see the tweets about them talking about the, what is it, a 5950X AMD processor, I think is what they were saying was in the PCs, which for CSGO, fine. But I think the expectations now is the players want to get like 500 FPS. I remember in the early days of CSGO when we were playing events, and I'm not saying it should be this way. I'm just giving an anecdote. I'm just giving a story here. We went to a LAN and Shroud was trying to run Shroud and Hiko were both trying to run like native res. And they're like, yeah, we're getting less than 100 FPS. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, who the fuck's trying to run native res? And this was back in like 2015. We're like, who the fuck's running 1920? You like what are you noobs doing, right? Like now lots of players are running like native res, and a lot of people have everything on high because of like all the shadows and all that kind of shit. But back then in 2015, we were still running 1024 black bars. I was still rocking 1024 768 black bars back then. And some players still do that now. They're stretched and stuff. So that was just a fun story that I thought about when I saw players complaining about FPS. But I think that's going to take a while for some of these specs to catch up, unfortunately.
I think it was a pretty funny time to announce the 360 hertz monitors, the sponsorship from PGL, when everyone was already complaining about like not having 200 FPS.
Ancient's going to be miserable, I think.
The thing is, like, I have to give him just a bit of a leeway in the fact that this last few updates really seem to have wrecked FPS, like really a lot. And I'm pretty sure, like, you're not ordering the PCs like yesterday. This has been put out a while back, or they're just using what they already had. So it's not really something they could have known completely, I would say, but it doesn't change the fact that it seems pretty shit. Like, if you're not getting 300 plus FPS, that's I don't know if that doesn't really cut it these days.
Here's where I get my nose put out a little bit out of joint when I see the tweets and stuff. If it was that big of a problem for all of the players, right? Then if they all collectively said we're not playing under these conditions, then they could probably get something changed. But they're just going to complain and not play, right? That's what's going to happen.
It would be great if there was some association that could help out with making a stand like that, or like some kind of player association, maybe.
Yeah, right. It would be crazy. But my point here is, like, if you're going to complain about it, right, but you're not willing to pull the trigger, which would be to sit out and say you're not going to play, then what is the point of complaining about it? Because you all want to qualify for the major, and none of you are willing to make that sacrifice to not have that option happen, right? You just want it to be better, but it won't be unless you take a stand. So it's like, okay, well then don't complain, just play. Because then what are you complaining for?
I mean, if it is as bad as they're saying, they should do that.
Yeah, but they won't.
Yeah.
I saw someone
never will.
mention it in chat, and I read a comment earlier before the show that apparently the X3D AMD processors are a lot better for whatever reason right now for frame rate. And people who have those ones are getting like 400, 500 frames. But if you don't have the X3D ones, their performance has gone down.
I think the best
anecdotal, obviously, but I think
the best processor for Counter-Strike at the moment is the 7800 X3D. That's the best processor for CS2 at the moment.
But apparently even like the 5600 X3D or whatever that tier one is performing better than the regular AMD processor. There's something to do with the X3D one.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, to be fair, I did say X3D before with the one. I don't know what C said in his tweet. Did he delete it? Let me have a look. Maybe it was only 5,900. I don't know enough about computers to talk as an authority about any of these things. I'm one of those computer illiterate absolute morons that just wants it to work for Counter-Strike. So I don't know exactly. I don't know what the specs are. Whereas like when we just did Katowice, for example, we had tournament PCs in our room. So I could tell you what the specs for those are, but for these, I don't have any idea. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to learn from chat. We'll have to learn from a player. So we'll have to wait and see what that is. But I guess we're going to find out pretty soon, right? The event starts in 14 hours from now. Not very long at all. Not very long at all. All right.
Are you excited?
Am I excited? Yeah, because of the emotions that are going to be on display. Because for teams who are the underdogs, who aren't like tier 1 circuit teams, for them when they get an upset win or if they qualify, it's fucking insane, right? Like the emotions are unrivaled at the RMRs compared to any other event. And you don't just get it once with a champion, you get it potentially 8 times. Well, there's going to be 2 groups. You get it 16 times. Obviously, for some of them, it's going to be more like relief. Like when FaZe qualify, it's going to be probably more like relief that, okay, yeah, we've made the next step. We probably should. But I love the stories of people getting to achieve something that maybe they never thought they would, because qualifying for a major is the biggest thing we have, right? So then, other than winning a major, but I think that conversation we had earlier about the sticker money and what that impacts is huge. But I'm also at the moment with Counter-Strike, I kind of want us to already be done with this period of time and already in the second half of the year when we know the major is going to be at the end of the year. Right? It's not that I just want to skip all of this. It's just I want the circuit to be in a position where it makes a bit more sense, and maybe because we've really been in flux quite consistently, haven't we? We haven't really had a period of time where things have been normal and making sense, and roster changes have made sense. It's all been all over the place. People are still vying for that position of control. So yeah,
basically since the CS2 beta or release was announced in March or whenever it's been in flux, because people were waiting for when will the beta come out. Then it was, when will we have to plan for the major, and then all the roster changes came through. So yeah, it's been in flux for almost a year at this point.
Yeah, and it's going to continue for a little bit longer, right? So we still have a couple more months of this at least. But I don't know. It's hard to know what to make of Counter-Strike overall right now. Like, it's not in a bad place. I think when we were talking about it last time, Prof, I was talking about like the decision tree and everybody building upon all of that and all those little details to do with it. Or that could have been one of the fucking 3 other podcasts I had done that day. Who knows? But yeah, I think I'm excited for it. Harry's excited to update all of his graphics and spreadsheets. You made a new thing the other day, Harry. I saw you tweeting it out.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get the data for all of these teams, but then the thing I used for it died, so it's like a nightmare. But I'm going to try and keep it going, because all of these RMR teams, like just having to like get the positions for all of them and everything. But yeah, I think it's super exciting, especially because you just see on our tier list the amount of teams that are in maybe, like they're going to play each other in those 2-2 games, and that's going to be like the biggest match of their lives. And it's going to just like the RMR, because I went to one last year, and it's like when you're in that room, you realize that this is like different. So my first event was Cologne in it, and the RMR is like standing next to Bad News Eagles, trying to record them for social media, like when they're about to win. And if you can go back to find the video, you can see it. My hand is like shaking when they win. I like jump like 10 feet. It's the qualifying for the major is for good or ill. And I think there probably is a conversation to be had about whether we want qualifying to the major to be like the make it or break it thing for an Organ CS. Like it's better than there not being anything, but are they too important? Are teams prioritizing differently? Whatever. But when you're in that room, you're just so happy for them. It's the best feeling, I think.
It really puts the human element of it all on display. And obviously, I think because I remember the money wasn't such a big deal back when we were trying to qualify for them, and getting top 8 was a big deal for me and my boys back in the day. I remember we spoke about it. We were like, shit, like if we ever get top 8 at a major, like we get that medal, that in-game medal, like that's gonna be fucking sick. Like that's gonna be the coolest thing ever. Like that was honestly the coolest thing that you could ever think of, having this in-game accolade next to your name, so that you were top 8 at like the Valve sanctioned event. So like obviously from just the prestige side of things, it's huge. And then like there are people from different parts of the world who, if they do qualify for an event like this and the sticker money is as sizable as what it can possibly be, or not even, right? Even if it is just a fraction of that, it's still life-changing money for people, right? Like, and I think that, I don't think that should be the focus by any means, but it is a huge part of this. Like there's a human beings who can literally change the course of the rest of their life qualifying for an event and earning, a large chunk of money. I'm not saying they can live off that for the rest of their life, but it can put you in a completely different position than you previously were. So to have that like human element on display for both things, like chasing something you love and also potentially earning yourself money to help you long term is huge. And I think that's the part of this event that the other events, I don't want to say they don't have them, like, because obviously the other events have the excitement of beating other people and like their prestige events and whatnot, but the major is always just a little bit different, always just a little bit different, aren't they? All right. Do we want to talk about this Asian RMR stuff and NA?
I think we're kind of over time now. And for the NA, we'll probably do a show before that. That's in like 2 weeks, 18 days or something.
I'm not. They didn't book me for the LCQ and stuff, so I leave here on the 23rd. So
okay, so we'll have time
Friday.
for sure.
Yeah, I leave here next Friday, so I'm only here for the groups, and then I'm not doing the LCQ, and then I go home. So, yeah, I'll be back pretty soon. And there's an off day as well, right? So that's Sunday, but that seems pretty soon from now. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anything else we want to talk about before we say goodbye?
Not really.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the quiz. I completely forgot about the quiz. Holy shit, we have a quiz.
I think I didn't put it in. I don't think I put it in. Let's go. Let's do the quiz.
Well, we
Let's
have
do
a
the
quiz. I didn't even know. Fuck it. I didn't even see. It wasn't on the thing. That's why I forgot about the quiz. All right. Let's have a look here. I need to get the link up. Hold up a second. Skinionaire. Holy shit. I can't believe I forgot about the fucking quiz. I can't hear the one with sound. It doesn't matter. I don't need the one with sound, do I? I'm not the one doing the quiz, am I?
They should have the sound.
Yeah.
They should have the sound.
It's not for me. It's for them. All right.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Okay, I do have the sound. I want everybody to type Trader in chat right now if you'd like to enter the raffle. We're going to do Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire, brought to our lovely sponsor, Trader.gg. 5 questions, multiple choice. Each question that is correct, the slider will move up to a different value of skin. We have a grand prize of $50 voucher available. If they get none of them right, you get 50 cents. If they get one of them right, you get $2.50. 3 of them right, $7.50. 4 of them right, $15. And then again, the grand prize of 50 smackaroos. All right, gentlemen, you can do this either one at a time or you can do it together. Would you like to be a team?
We can be a team.
All right, they're going to be a team. All right. Let's get into this. Question number 1. Who topped the list of top 20's bold predictions for 2024? Was it Nilo, NQZ, or Poddy?
It was Nilo for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the classic snowball. Like, if you're in the top 15, you just open the last articles and pick that guy. And it was Nilo.
Okay. Yeah, I'll lock it in for us.
Cheating off of someone else's homework. They're locking in A, Nilo, and the correct answer is A, Nilo, the Swede. All right, 1 from 1. Not too shabby. All right, let's get into question number 2. Oh, I've clicked off the wrong link. Fuck, where is it? There it is. With 1.16 rating in the past 3 months, the highest rated player in Spirit Academy is Baz, Dia, or Magnages.
I'm pretty sure it's Magnages because Dia is a player in NA, and I don't know who Baz is.
Baz is the one who stood in spring groups, and his rating will be fucked by that. So
okay,
Magnages is the one. He had a few bold predictions as well, I think.
Yeah, he did. I think Shiro might have picked him or something.
Okay.
I'll lock it in.
Magnages is the correct answer. All right. Well, I had no idea who that player even was. I only know the other bloke because he was playing for Timberman and now he's dodging land because apparently his passport got stolen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
He did go to a few local lands in NA, so it's not like he's dodging all lands.
I'm sure it's fine.
His passport might have actually gotten stolen.
Yeah, but my viewpoint of it's more funny, right? Because nobody likes the Timber. Isn't that how it is? Like nobody likes those guys. They're pretty nasty on the internet.
Yes, that is true.
A poor Timberman. Karma's a bitch. All right, let's get into question number 3. Which Spanish veteran is the current coach of Na'Vi Junior? Is it Aki, Kari, or I always struggle with this guy's name, but it should be really. Yeah, it should be easy, but I always struggle with it. I think my dyslexia comes into play.
I'm not sure about this one. You have any idea, Harry?
No, not a clue.
Oh my god.
None of them sound like Spanish names.
But I think Lucas used to talk about Kyrie a lot, or someone used to talk about Kyrie a lot.
Do you want a hint?
Sure. Toss us a hint.
So Striker wrote an article in 2015 about this guy going to Hellraisers, but it was a April Fool's joke, but it wasn't on April's 1st. It was like Spanish April Fool's. That was like November 20th.
It's Kyrie for sure then. I remember this. Should I lock it in? Yes.
Yeah, lock it in.
I remember that because every time it comes around in the year, Striker is like, "Fuck this day."
Well, that is
It's such a
correct.
classic.
We're
Funnily
3 from
enough,
3.
he didn't go to Hellraisers. Now he went to Navi, so it's kind of almost the same.
All right. Let's get into question number 4. What team did Hobbit join in July of 2020? Was it Gambit, Gambit Youngsters, or Gambit Academy?
For the youngsters.
The youngsters.
He was on the youngsters, right? Before they went to the main team. I think
July
so.
2020 sounds like about the right time. But is it like, is this when the youngsters became Gambit properly?
That's what I'm trying to figure. I feel like he.
This is like the worst question you ever done.
So there was Inters and there was one other guy on Gambit Youngsters before.
Yeah,
Supra.
no, it's,
Supra, yeah.
He
So
came
was
in
it-
for Sucre, but when? Was it in July or before July? Because it was before July it's Gambit, and if it is July it's youngsters.
I think it's still Youngsters. 'Cause I feel like they were getting results with Hobbit on Youngsters, and then they went to the main team. I'm guessing.
Well,
You
you
can-
definitely
you can-
joined youngsters first. It's just if that was in like March, but I don't know. I'll go youngsters. You seem more confident. 2020 is like a black hole. We'll just say
Locking in
youngsters.
B, Gambit Youngsters, and the correct answer is B, Gambit
Okay.
Youngsters. Prof, trying to be
Nice.
tricky here, Prof. Yeah. Or did you not do these questions? This is a
Does
Dimitri job.
Yes, a Demi.
I looked at Prof and he was making a face, and I got worried.
No, because we had the joke about it when he first joined, right? That it was still the Gambit Youngsters team. All right, question number 5. Which of the following didn't get a dedicated One for the Future article on HLTV? Dexter, Monashi, or MHL?
It was Monacy, I'm pretty sure, because I know that MHL got one.
Yeah, Dex.
I'm pretty sure Dexter
I feel
got
like
one.
I've read a Dexter one.
Yeah. I know, yeah, because I think Lucas or Prof wrote the Dexter one, and MHL I read when I was doing the Donk one. So
Yeah, we
it has
definitely
to
did
be
MHL. I
Monacy.
remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, locking in B, Monacy, and the correct answer is Monacy. 5
Nice.
from 5, gentlemen.
Is it too
feels like-
obvious or something? Why
It feels like
didn't we?
it's been a long time since we've got a 5 from 5. That might not be true, but we definitely didn't do it last week. And I don't know if we did it a week before, but it's been some time. So, all right. That is Who Wants to Be a Skin Unit, brought to you by Trader.gg. And our lucky winner, Lucas is going to say, is that Maggie20. Maggie20. Magge 20. Congratulations. Our people will reach out to your people and we'll get you your skin. All right, cool. Well, you guys smashed that. Easy. I think getting Dimitri to do the questions, that's kind of, I didn't know we could offload the work, Prof. I didn't
Yeah,
realize we could outsource.
It's, it's one of those things that once it happens once, and then you just like, maybe you should do it again. You're great at this, and then he does it again, and pretty nice.
Nice. Okay, every time I send him mine, he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to fix your grammar. I'm going to have to fix your spelling. I'm going to have to fix the way you've done all the. It's like, yeah, cool, man. Thanks. It's all good. I'm getting my English corrected by a Russian. It's fine. Whatever, man. That's all. You sorted out. I was never great at school. All right,
I was
gentlemen.
expecting some classic Prof troll questions in there, but there weren't any.
I mean, because you expected them, you almost, mind fucked yourself. So that's part of the game.
Someone in chat just asking about the Asia preview. We should have time to do the Asia preview before the event at some point. So we should be able to talk about that. And also, it's not going to be that much of a lengthy conversation. We can go for after the LCQ. We can talk a bit about that, and then we can do the Asia preview and then the Americas and talk about what's going to be going on over there. But yeah, RMRs for the next, what is it? It's I guess the next 10. No, it's the next like 12 days, right? It's the next 12 because of the LCQ as well. So yeah, next 10 or 11 days is when all the big stuff. We're going to be qualifying 17 teams from Europe for the first major in CS2, and yeah, that's all the action is going to be going down. I saw the tweet from PGL today and them saying, "Oh, we're on Kick," and everyone's like, "Wait, they're exclusively on Kick? They sold out?" It's like, no, they're just also on Kick. They're on like everything. I think they're on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Kick, like anywhere you want to watch Counter-Strike. I'm pretty sure they're going to be available to watch Counter-Strike. So we're in there today in the PGL office just taking a look. It's very similar to what we've done for the Antwerp major as far as the RMRs went, and the Stockholm major before that. I think the only difference is the players are not going to be playing from like a setup in the hotel. Like previously, last time we were here, they were playing from the hotel. They're going to come from the hotel to the office, which is where we'll be casting from as well, and their setups are there. So we'll at least have them in the same type of room and stuff. So we should be able to hear them and see them and maybe interact with them a little bit, which would be different from how it's been the last couple of times. I'm trying to think if there's any no halftime breaks they tweeted about. So that's good. We'll have even quicker matches. Trying to think if there's anything else that people might want to know about what's going on. I think that's about it. Games are on an accelerated schedule, so we're no hard start times. Probably about 10 minutes between games, assuming no delays. I think that's about it. I don't think I've got any more information for anybody else. That's about all I can go. We all good? Everyone happy?
I think so.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks to Nero and Nerd for joining us tonight in lieu of Striker out there saving all the cats in the world from cat demise. We'll be back again, I guess, in a week, maybe. We'll see what happens. We'll work it out exactly. We'll let you guys know. We'll get on the Twitter sphere and put all that good information out there. Prof, do you have any wise words that you want to leave the HLTV public with?
As you always say, call your mom.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing to do.
And say hi from me.
Hey, that's a classic one. Maybe some Aussies will know of a Rove McManus. He was a comedian. He had a talk show to and it's a good night and say hi to your mum for me. All right, so thanks, Tony Tibet. Thanks for Trader.gg. We'll be back again next time. Thank you for watching and good night.
Best esports odds. VIP program and a variety of bonuses. Fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam, and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.